Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and we are here for Thirsty Sword Nightsister, which is part of our Star Wars special weekend here amongst a number of games that are getting played. Rich came and said, run something, and I had this in the back of my mind as an idea, so I wanted to give it a try. This is also, we're playing this with Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which is a PBTA game. We are making a couple of mechanical changes to that I'll talk about a little bit later, but generally we are playing this fairly straight. I do want to say before we get too much further, so my knowledge of most of these things is Wikipedia and a couple of scans at various things. So I am not a canon master. I am not canon knowledgeable. We are going to make the world as we wish it to be, as it is. We're going to, if we have knowledge of some of the elements, we can bring them in, but we're not going to be tied to canon too much. So I just want to say that. I am going to mention that this is part of the of Open Hearth Gaming Community. You can find out more about that. There'll be a link in the show notes. And of course, if you like this, we've got plenty of videos on my channel. You can subscribe there, check those out. And that's also Patreon supported, so you can check that out. So let's start with our cats, our concept, aim / approach, tone, safety. Some of this, if you've read the documents I sent out ahead of time, some of this you will be aware of already, but I want to kind of give a summary to give you the place where I am in terms of what I think the story and the setup is. Hello, Sabine.
Hi, sorry.
No, that's okay. So, concept. So we know that there is an ancient order of matriarchal of these Nightsisters that have ruled over this lonely planet of Dathomir for various reasons. Dathomir is associated with the dark side of the Force. Now, the Nightsisters themselves draw on the Force for powers, but they have different names for it. They have a different take on it. The dark side, light side is a little bit different in their conception. Not exactly Sith nor Jedi, and spurned real allegiances with both, though they had contacts with them, which will come back to haunt them, as we will see. The people of Dathomir are called the Zabrak. Generally, the women have paler skin, blue, gray, white, and the males have our red, orange, Darth Maul being an example of those, and the males have the horns. So those are the kinds of the difference here. So historically, the Nightsisters got involved with issues during the Clone Wars. And as a result of those alliances, based on Count Dooku and General Grievous, eventually they were destroyed. Not just the Nightsisters, but the other witch clans on Dathomir were annihilated. A handful remained and went off to become NPCs in various video games. So that's where they went to. In our setup, not too long ago, a former Nightsister who had survived, named Abyssa Gento, returned back to Dathomir. And Dathomir had ghosts, force ghosts of the various Nightsisters that were already there. But Gento went there and, using her power, wrestled them and took control of them and brought them in line. She was determined to come and rebuild the Nightsisters with a new understanding of the Force. Gento had been out, had traveled the universe, and had seen much. Our time here is during this period of that third trilogy. So as the Empire has fallen and the First Order has come back, there are people with Force powers who are going out and seeing these things. Abyssa Gento has created this new sanctuary for the Nightsisters to focus on exploration, self-discovery, understanding, using some of the old techniques, like calling on these old Force ghosts for advice and so on, turning away from the most toxic aspects of this. And people came. You all came for your various reasons. Maybe you were Dathomir, maybe you were something else, maybe you were a Wookiee. You came from all over. And generally, the Nightsisters identify as female, but that's not a restriction for the way that we're playing this, we're approaching this. But they came here to learn. Some of them felt a calling in the Force. Some of them heard rumors. Some of them were brought by people. That's the group of the Nightsisters that we are dealing with. They have a couple of foes, these toxic powers that are out there. First of all, Dathomir has an Imperial garrison on it, and our Nightsisters are hidden away, trying to keep out from the First Order vision and the various old resentful forces of patriarchy that have joined with the First Order. But then also, even though they are a source of wisdom, the Force ghosts of the Nightsisters, like, they have an agenda, they have a desire that they want, and so that's a second set of tensions for our group. The other issue for our characters is that Abyssa Gento has died. She has finally passed on. Her body has vanished, has transformed. And now there's a question of who is going to lead now amongst the Nightsisters. And we have some NPC characters in there on that first row of the NPCs tab, including a sister who is the senior. But you have all been there, and we'll talk about who you are and what that means. But this is the story that we're taking up with our characters here, with their considerations of their place in the world, with an inciting incident, and making choices based on that. So that's our concept. Our approach today, we've got a one-shot between 3 and 4 hours long. We'll be taking the usual at least 2 breaks, maybe more, depending on how things roll out. We're going to start with character creation. And character creation for this is everybody will talk about playbooks. You will go through and choose your look, assign your stat lines, pick 2 moves, and then most of the playbooks also have some special stuff that you can get, and we'll talk about what that is, some other question to answer. Once we get that stuff all set, we'll do introductions, and then we'll do relationships. There are 3 relationships. We'll have everybody create their relationships with the other parties there. So that's the sort of setup. There are 3 sort of mechanical things to consider. One is, because this is a one-shot, 3 XP, and it's XP on a miss, will get you in advance. So basically a new move or raising a stat in the case of this. I have added in 2 moves. One is a move for using your force powers. Basically, there is a move when you want to solve a problem with the Force. You kind of tell me what you can do. And it's a little bit like unleashing your powers from Mask. That's very much the sort of the take on it. You get to tell us what it looks like. We roll to see what the effect is. And you'll assign a Force stat, like a stat that you use to roll for the Force that will be the rest of the game. Then the other thing I put in here, just in case it should occur, because it's my favorite mechanic, I have put an inner conflict move in here as well. So that's in there in case you get trouble and you can't figure out where you want to go. You can say, I want to fall back to the inner conflict move. So that is in there. We actually had that this morning. So it's a good thing. So that's the approach, the mechanical thing that you need to know. Our tone is Star Wars, obviously, but through the lens of Thirsty Sword Lesbians, through the lens of wuxia a little bit. Where we have dark temptations, it is not downer beat temptations. It is not the realism and grit of something like Andor. We are still in a focus on kind of the heroic aspects of that. And within that, this game has 4 fingers, 4 pieces of player's agenda that I just want to remind you of. One is bring the action. Another is feel deeply and powerfully and often. Then there's be excited about the other PCs and their shared stories. And finally, stand for justice and liberation. So you can kind of see what the aim and the tone is for this. That's the cat of cats. Safety. I know you've all played with me before, so you're familiar with this, but I'll go through it basic. We have on the safety tab, there are lines and veils. You can fill those in. I will go over those briefly when we get to the introduction section. But these are things, again, hard lines. These are things we do not want to address. We do not want to consider. They're not part of our story elements. Veils being anything that if it should occur, we're going to fade to black on that. So that's our main baseline for this. Our second level is, of course, the X card, which we should use for material that we find objectionable, that we find problematic, that we find wildly off tone. One good place to watch for where the X card might occur is if you think we're starting to lean towards something that is in our lines or our veils and we haven't noticed it, that's a good time to say X card or do the gesture. Again, with the X card, as with any of these safety tools, you don't have to explain your reason for doing it. You don't have to defend your choice. You can if you want to, but you are not obligated to. So you should feel comfortable about that. The other thing, and this is something that Rich taught me, is if something happens a couple of times and you're cool with it at first, but then you aren't, it is legit to X card it later on. Also, Thirsty Sword Lesbians gives a name to something that we've done kind of as a habit already. If there is a thing that doesn't rise necessarily to the level of X card, but you want to stop and check in with folks before you go on, make sure that they are cool with it. They call it the check-in card. I usually would use the X card for it, but that's a good way to think about that. That if we need to calibrate, that is a good thing to do. For example, in our mask game on Thursday, there was a question about the police and the police role in relationship to the players, the superheroes, and we did a check-in to talk about how we wanted to play with that in a modern game, and it was really good. So that's a thing that you can do. Next, we have our open door, meaning that if you need to step away for whatever reason, you can do that. Personal, physical, whatever. It'd be great if you could tell us that you're going to be back, but you're not obligated to. You should never stay in a game that you are not enjoying, unless you're trying to get a game on your ladder of insanity, and then you need to stay for the entire time so you can record the session for your records, Rich. So there we go. The last piece of safety that we have on here is the romance permissions matrix. Basically, if you want your character to possibly be involved with a PC, NPC, or ask first, and these are not necessarily exclusive from one another, if you could mark that out. We're only a 1 hour session, but I do like to put that on the table, especially because when we're building relationships, those kinds of questions may occur. So that is me talking for a solid 15 minutes. There we go. That's my full spiel. I get that done. So we are going to talk about playbooks now. And what I want to do is go around and ask you if you've like settled on one, and if you have decided one, just say it. That's seize the day. But if you've got just a couple that you're still vacillating between, you're welcome to say that. I'll kind of go around once, and we'll see what people have. So Stephen, I know in the email you had it down to a couple. Are you still with those two, or have you thought differently, or have you narrowed it down to one?
I'm still pretty much with those two, which is the Nature Witch or the Trickster.
Nature
I don't
Witch.
think anyone else had any interest, so as long as there's no conflicts, I'll take the Nature Witch.
Okay. All right. So Nature Witch. David, what are you thinking about?
I'm happy to defer to the other two because I think they said in the email thread that they had some stuff they were interested in, and I didn't even reply to the email thread, so I'm happy to go last.
Perfect. Rich.
First choice is the infamous, and since Stephen's Or David's deferring. I'll just take it. I'll just snatch it from your fingers. You don't get a choice. It's mine.
Okay. Infamous it is. Sabine, what about for you?
I'm taking the Seeker if that is okay. Because
Okay.
I realized that for my very first game of Thirsty Sword Witches, I wanted to play a Seeker, but somebody else was also interested in it. Deferred, and now I can do that. So
Perfect.
sorry.
All right. So 3 have been taken out of the running for you, David. So you've still got a wide range of choices.
Yeah. Infamous is taken, but I would like something that feels at least a little bit anti-hero. So what lends itself well to that? Bloody, maybe?
The Bloody is definitely our sort of former warrior who's been through a lot. That's one. Scoundrel, the Legion, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Legion, because that has Force Ghosts in it, doesn't it?
It does have heads full of ghosts, yes.
Let's try Legion, and I'll figure out a movie to make it work.
Okay, that sounds good. So let me talk about what are what you're going to be doing. We've got the image URL. So if you put a URL there for the images, that will pop that up. You'll choose your look. For stats, you're going to pick one of those 2 lines of stats, put those in, and then you're going to add +1 to 2 different stats. You'll pick 2 moves, and then anything that's sort of below your moves will be that kind of special stuff that you may need to make some choices about. So I'm going to let you to it, go through, then we'll do introductions and relationships. I'm going to mute myself. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask.
So I'm seeing all the pictures pop up, and I'm already super excited. That's so good.
Do I take 1 or 2 extra moves? Sorry.
You take 2 more. Some of the books have 2 starting moves, but then you'll take 2 more.
I might have an older version of yeah, it's a playtest version. Is spirit and soul one and the same? So do you call on a toxic power still as a special move, or is that gone? Maybe I should just look at the moves thing and figure that out. I don't know what these stats do, so it's hard to.
So 9 A is call on toxic power, and you roll with spirit.
Thank you.
I'm afraid my last 2 moves don't auto-fill. Sorry, proper courtship and stiff upper lip don't fill.
So if you want to, you can go to the data page,
Uh-huh.
and I have the text of those
Okay.
there if you want to copy and paste. Sorry, I don't know why it's not doing that for those.
I don't know either. Okay. Cool. I figured it out. Thank
Okay.
you.
By the way, absolutely no overlaps with the playbooks chosen for the morning game. Completely different set of four. I love it.
That means there's a lot of strong playbooks. That's awesome. Keeper question, Lowell. To
Yes.
the right of look, there are these open spaces. Are they used for something? So challenging demeanor to the right of it from AY through
Oh.
BA on 7. Why?
I think they're there if you wanted to like specify what that actually looked like. Like if you
Oh.
if you felt like I want to explain more about what that means. I think that's what they're there for.
Okay. Thank you.
And when do we need to answer the questions of truth and heart and blade?
I was just about to say, you don't answer those now. Those are references for if you get smitten with another character. There are some questions that you have to answer when that happens. So those are just kind of reference questions for later. If you want to look at what your relationship questions are going to be after introductions, those are on the relationships tab. I'm gonna give everybody another couple minutes, and then we're gonna do introductions.
I'll step away for a second because I think I'm finished anyway.
Quick question. My playbook has a mechanic called tragedy connected to it. Is that something that I need to define right now as I'm making this character?
Now let's look at the mechanic here. So, kind of like, yeah, kind of think about like what is the tragedy. It says you're haunted by something that has occurred across your incarnation. So you don't have to define it uh like really in specific detail, but is it betrayal? Is it heartbreak? Something like that, like the general thing. And then in play, you can kind of tie those things in if something occurs that you think might be a nice echo for that. Does that seem fair?
I think so. So just something that every prior incarnation, every past of my lives has
Yeah.
been confronted with that is undoubtedly
Yeah.
going to happen to me at some point.
Yeah. And you can define it very generally.
Got it. Yeah, maybe more generally is probably a little bit advisable. I don't know.
Okay. So we are going to do introductions. Before we get to that, let me quickly go through the lines and veils that we already have established. Feel free to add things later, but right now what we have as hard lines are torture by the PCs, transphobia, homophobia, sexual assault, and cannibalism. And then we have a veil on dental horror. So you can feel my touch there on that particular veil. And we have wishes for feels there. And people have marked out their romance permission, so you can kind of check in on that. So I want to go around and have everyone give us your name, your character's name, your pronouns for both, and then kind of generally tell us about what you're imagining of your character. If you want to quickly go over, like mention what what kind of moves you have, and I think particularly you'll have some special stuff that we may want to talk about a little bit further. So, Rich, you have chosen the Insidious alphabetically. You made the poor choice, so you get to go first there.
That's a-okay. I have chosen the Infamous, as you can see, and I went through a bunch of terrible Darth names and selected possibly the worst one in Darth Tormenta. It's probably the worst. I mean, there were a couple of worse ones, but I think that one's up there as top 3 worst. Darth Tormenta was born a Nightsister, escaped, and became a Sith, and I think it was all due to a breakup with one of the other PCs, and that would mean it would be either David or Sabine's character because it's a one shot, so it has to be one of y'all. Sorry, doesn't have to be, but like it seems like it could be that way. So yeah, bad breakup, and she decided to go evil because that's what you do when you can't deal with a breakup. As a Sith, she tortured and murdered. She could justify it that they were not all the best people, but when faced with the idea of coming back to Dathomir, she did turn on her master and turned her back on the Sith Order. Not that they'll let her live for that, but she's here. And according to her, she's atoning for her deeds. Now, before I go further,
Sure.
there's a very clear thing here that says, before defining relationships and character creation, propose a wicked past that you think could be forgiven, and I have to ask each PC a question. And the question is, what circumstances or subsequent deeds could it make possible to forgive this past? And it says explicitly, if anyone hesitates or can't answer the question, meaning if you think it's unforgivable, I have to tone down my backstory. That's why I wanted to bring it up, like up front. So rather than let it form or harden in my mind, I wanted to pose that question right away. Does anyone think Darth Tormenta's tragic past is unforgivable?
I would just say that we have a line on PCs torturing people, so
Oh, we had a line on
that's-
it? I'm sorry, I thought it was a
yeah,
fail. I apologize.
I think it is a line on it. So I'm just saying that
no,
yeah.
I'll back that out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So let me ask you a question kind of to frame this up. So when they reformed these new Nightsisters, were you here and then left and became a Sith and now are coming back?
Yeah.
Okay.
If that works out timeline wise.
Yeah. So I think it has been like a few years for you. Do you imagine that you were with a Sith in general, or were you part of the whole sort of circle of Kylo Ren and the First Order and that sort of network of Force users?
Whichever's most interesting to the group. Sounds good to me. They're both interesting. I saw you had a Ren thing in there, so I don't want to bite on that if you've got ideas.
No, I'm good with that because it definitely gives you a potential connection there too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I like
you've
that
gone
connection.
out, you've been taught to serve the First Order or serve the new Return of the Empire and have been a killer, right?
Yes.
Would this make you an inquisitor? Is that the right?
Yeah, I think she's got the helmet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So David, are you cool with that as a kind of tragedy? Do you think that's something that you could see a character coming back from?
Yeah, I think so. I was just gonna say, I would like to call dibs on either being your former lover, or if Sabine, you would rather take it, I at least want to have an unrequited crush on Darth Tormenta.
Okay. Sabine is shaking his head. So yeah, Rich, are you okay with David taking that? Okay.
I love it.
Okay. Stephen, are you good with this tragedy, this backstory? Okay.
I am. I think it'll be a good story to see how it works out. Yeah.
Okay. And Sabine, are you also good with that?
Oh yeah, I'm very good with that. I'm
Okay.
very interested in how that connects to my backstory, actually.
Awesome.
Cool.
And can you give us the elevator pitch, like just the quick, like what are the trigger kind of things for the moves that you have?
When Darth Tormenta hears about a villain for the first time, she can decide that she knows them from her past.
Okay.
When she allows herself to be vulnerable to someone she's hurt during her villainous past, she gets some choices to do things. When she pretends to be a villain to win a villain's trust, they will trust her enough to offer an opportunity. And when she relies upon or trusts someone else with something important, I get to say how she expects to be let down by the other person.
Nice. All right. I think that gives us a good sense of who you are. We're going to come back to you with relationships, and those relationship questions are on the relationship tab, so you can see those. And we're going to continue with introductions. David, tell us about your character.
Yeah, hello, I am David S. He, him pronouns, and I am using the Legion playbook. My character's name is Kala Aralar, but she goes by the nickname Banshee. She is a Zabrak, former and current Nightsister, I believe they're called. Yes, Nightsister. And off-world at the time that the sisters were decimated, former lover of Darth Tormenta. I imagine that there is a horribly tragic, sad breakup story there. But Banshee has not gotten over Darth Tormenta. And despite the terrible things that Tormenta has done, Banshee is still finding herself longing for her presence whenever the opportunity presents itself. And now here we are just about to be reunited once again. So there's going to be some drama connected to that, I should think. My moves are one called Heaven's Sword, which basically means I get a once per session ability to tell a tale from my tragic past to, I think, increase the to improve a roll, and then I get to choose some options from a pick list when I do. I have another move called Resplendent Weapon, which allows me to roll with a different stat when fighting, and I cannot conceal my identity when my weapon is drawn. And then thirdly, I have a move called Tangled Skeins, Skeins, which allows me to name a comrade who has either fought at my side or a foe who I defeated whenever I return to a place I've been to before, which I think will probably come up here given the setup. When I do that, I give people a string, and if they recognize me, I get to mark XP. And then finally, I have a mechanic called Tragedy, which basically means that I select a type of tragedy, and whenever something happens that could fulfill that tragedy, my tragedy score increases. Once it gets to a certain point, crazy stuff happens, and if I act in different ways, my tragedy score decreases, and if it gets to 0, other crazy stuff happens. The tragedy I selected, if this sounds good to people, is Betrayal by Lover, which basically means every prior life, every prior incarnation I've ever had has been betrayed by their lover in some fashion. And it seems that I am doomed to experience this in my present incarnation. So does that sound good to people?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So, both you and Darth Tormenta have been here and then gone away and then come back. Like, what drew you back? Was it of the voices of the ghosts in your head? Was it hearing that Darth Tormenta was returning? Was it that you personally needed to come back? Like, what do you think it was that drew you back?
I'm thinking it was fate. Had to have been some connection with the ghosts of the planet, the force ghosts that are lurking within. So I'm thinking that that's probably it. My guess is that I left the planet originally to chase after Tormenta, I would think, but returning kind of because I have to, because the ghosts are calling to me, and because they're so innately tied with me and I with them, I cannot refuse.
Especially if a Tormenta doesn't know that you came after her. That's a revelation that has not occurred yet in our particular incident. You've both have been back for a little while, but I'm assuming there's a certain sound of standoffishness. And you, with the head full of ghosts and so on, like you are close to one of the two toxic powers that we have here. We have the chorus of these Nightsister Ghosts. Like they promise you that they can show you things. This whole going to the changing to a more positive way of our Nightsister order is not the way, and so they're reaching out on that. Okay. Awesome. We'll come back to you and talk about relationships here in just a moment. Stephen, tell us about your character.
So my name is Steven, my pronouns are he, him. I am playing Alice Naza, who is Dathomirian, was born on Dathomir, but escaped with her family during the troubles that came. Her family revered Dathomir and the land associated with it, She is the Nature Witch playbook, and she learned a lot about the native plants and flora and fauna and that kind of stuff while she was away. Whenever she heard the call come out through the Force Ghosts to come back to Dathomir, she was very excited. Once she arrived on Dathomir, she was very sad. Um, the whole planet had been decimated. I mean, it has beauty in starkness, but now there's death everywhere and it's been corrupted. And so she's a part of the order seeking to try to bring back the land. Um, my moves are I have wild friends, which is you may speak with animals and plants and influence them with strings. Near your home or anywhere you have been a long period of time, animal and plant friends are always nearby. I have a familiar that is the loft cat that I put in my portrait, named Kiki. Um, and I think I can communicate with her at any distance. And there's a basic move choice that I need to make, which I have not done yet.
Okay.
And then there's Nature's Touch, which is whenever I touch someone and let the power of the natural world flow through them, I roll plus spirit, and I can take a string in order to clear one of their conditions, so I can heal them. I can give them the ability to speak with plants and animals through the scene, or answer one of the figure someone out questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the trials?
I have a series of trials that indicate my growth as a person and as a sister.
Okay.
The choice that I chose, so there's a number of trials that I have a pick down list from, and the one that I chose is to liberate something dangerous.
Okay.
The others are things like kiss someone dangerous or fall in love or shock someone with an unwelcome truth. And whenever I succeed in one of those, I take a point of XP or clear a condition or something. I get a Benny, and then I mark that as passed, and then I get a new one. And whenever all of those are filled, I can retire or adopt a new playbook or something like that.
I see. So the Nature Witch is our beacon for this thing. I like that.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you still have family that are Dathomir, or are you alone, do you think?
I have family. They are not here on Dathomir. They are in a place of safety.
Okay.
And they are proud of me that I returned. They do not know about the destruction and what I've seen on Dathomir. So I'm keeping a secret from them.
And so you know what the big legendary beast of Dathomir is, right?
A rancor, correct?
Yes. So we'll have to at some point we'll have to have a rancor on screen for you.
There's a couple of other things. Whenever I searched around what the animals were, there were like there's a fish and there was a cat, but I don't know much about them.
Yes.
But rancor popped up in that search too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a Versonk, which is a tentacle beast. There's a bramble lynx, which is kind of a pet animal.
Okay.
Baneback spider. There's some horrible creatures in there, but yeah. So I think that gives us a sense of someone who has a very different take than Kala or Tormenta to this. So I think that's a nice set of contrasts there. Let's come to Sabine.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I am playing Sister Ivory, Seeker playbook, and she uses she or they pronouns. Sister Ivory grew up as an inquisitor. She was taken when she was very young. She's Truguda by species, and she grew up there, and that was kind of, sometimes it was a bit awful, sometimes it wasn't. It was just what she's used to, and then she heard that call from Dathomir, and she was flying around trying to make full Inquisitor, which she hasn't yet. But she heard a call, and it was also kind of nice to be here, and maybe she can learn something interesting, right? So she's staying around, trying to figure out what's going on with the other guys, girls, peoples, and she knows that people are people, and she likes to talk about her home occasionally, at least the things that were awful, the things that were good, the things that weren't so different, really. And sometimes she just says stuff to impress people that might not strictly be true, which some of you might actually know that they are not strictly true, but who knows? And she asks people about what she should do now if she's in a situation that's unfamiliar to her. And sometimes she just plays dumb to get to figure out stuff and get away with stuff because
So moving from an inquisitor to kind of leaving that and coming to a place that is, kind of turning your back on the First Order, on the Sith and so on, that's a big change. Did she like, was there something that occurred to make her change, or does she not like understand the gravity of the change yet? What do you think that is?
I think it's that she doesn't understand the gravity yet, or she doesn't want to understand the gravity, because then she would have to admit that where she grew up was actually horrible. She's not ready to do that. She's still bound by the traditions where she grew up, and that might make for awkward situations because she has some beliefs, some commandments that she thinks she should follow at least. And if she ever understands that she shouldn't and that she should do something different, then she will change commandment to conviction, like the girl on the ground thing. And that seems neat.
Excellent. Okay, I think that gives us a good, strong sense of who you are. We're going to do the relationships now. What I'd like to do with these is everybody has 3 questions. And I'd like to go around and have everybody do one of them, just so everybody can kind of establish a baseline. And then we'll go around and have you do the other 2. So, Rich, as we do with these relationship questions, if you think you know exactly who this ought to be, you can offer that out, and they of course can negotiate with you on that, or you can throw it out to the table. So which of those 3 you have for Infamous there do you want to start with?
This check. Okay, cool. I was double checking safety because I already screwed up once. I think, for whom have you wronged the most? Do they know it was you? The timeline that we've sort of worked out here kind of precludes the destruction of nature. So that doesn't feel like it would be a thing that would apply to Alice. Were we saying Alice or Elise or Alice? How were you saying that, Stephen? I just want to make sure I get it.
I was saying Alice.
Okay. So,
it's Space Alice. They spelled differently, yeah.
Yep. So it'd be Alice. But okay, so I guess the other question, sorry, as I'm stumbling around here, but Sabine, do you want Darth Tormenta to go the way the Knights of Ren so we don't overlap each other too much?
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea, that we didn't actually kind of know each other. Okay, we're moving in the same circles, but
awesome.
If we were, I mean, they could have been different cells, right?
I killed someone that was in your order that you cared about. Who's that?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think that was my teacher, actually.
Awesome. I killed your teacher.
Yeah, the 47th sister or something like that.
Yeah, wow. You guys there's a lot of you because you keep failing. You have to keep making more. A bunch of failures.
So you cut down an Inquisitor who was Sister Ivory's mentor, off planet. Here's a question, Darth. Do they know it was you?
Oh, for sure. I did it right in front of Sister Ivory.
Okay. So this is a simmering thing. So both of you have been back for a while, and I think this is still a simmering issue. Does that seem fair to say? You good with that, Rich?
Oh, for sure. Okay. Yeah, Tormenta references it often. She's trying to cause trouble.
Okay.
I will never show my weak emotions to you.
Nice.
Next is David. David, our legion there for Banshee. Which of these relationship questions do you want to start with?
I'm thinking Sabine's going to be in this one too. So let me know if I need to spread this out a little bit more. But I was thinking I would go with the one who has the face of an old, long dead friend. And I was thinking of going with Sister Ivory for that one because I don't think Sister Ivory and I know each other. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so if we don't know each other, but I do see this person for the first time, and my God, you look just like my best friend who died some time ago, I would automatically feel protective of Sister Ivory and automatically feel a bond with them. And then you, of course, have the entanglement. I am protective of Sister Ivory, but my ex-lover, Darth Tormena, hates her.
Yes.
And then I'm caught in the middle of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Awesome. And that brings us to Alice, our nature witch. Which of these do you want to start with?
My questions are very different from your questions, so that's very
Yes.
interesting. Who thinks that I'm perfect the way I am?
I can volunteer if no one else does, but it's all good, whoever wants it.
If you want it, take it.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, David?
Because you are, like me, innately connected with the planet. I am connected with its ghost, and you with almost literally every other part of it. So I see that you and I are not so different.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Excellent. And then Sabine?
The easy. I'll take the easy one. Who reminds you of home? And that's Darth Tormentor. She just reminds me of home. She's just as awful, but also I kind of the way she behaves is kind of familiar to me. I might not always like it. Well, I might never like it, but I know what to expect here.
Nice. You good with that, Rich?
You bet. I've got a collar with your name on it, Ivory.
That brings us back to you, Rich. Let's do your other two relationship questions.
You bet. Who believes in you more than you believe in yourself? Obviously, this isn't Tormenta answering, but it seems to be Banshee. Right?
That seems right, yeah.
She's still holding a candle. And then who talks to you about things they wouldn't discuss with others because of your past? It has to be Alice. You confide in me, Alice. What? Why? Because of my past. Because what about my past makes me seem, you can be lying. Yeah, I'm totally okay. But
so I confide in you that I wouldn't talk about with others. I think I'm curious about your past and the darkness within to try to heal the planet of the darkness that it has. And I look to you as to how you have chosen to walk a different path from darkness.
Maybe if you learn how Tormenta can change and grow, maybe that can give you a model for how to help this world. Okay. That brings us to David for your other two questions. What would you like for those?
So my first is who was, and I'm open to if anyone wants to volunteer. It was who was the beloved of a nemesis from a previous life. So I want to make sure I understand this right. Another PC here was beloved by one of my previous lives' rivals.
Yeah, I think so.
So, for example, maybe someone who's a PC here was the child of my prior incarnation's rival, or something like that. Because I don't know what they mean by, because beloved, I don't know how that would really work unless there was a substantial age difference.
I'm pretty sure that might be also the previous incarnation of this person, not the person themselves.
Yeah,
right?
it might be like we've said that there's a cycle and there are things like that. It might be that much as Sister Ivory has the face of a long dead friend, maybe somebody else from like that, you remember another version of them from a past life.
Oh, it's one of those things. Okay.
So I might be able to. Did you have anyone in mind?
Nope. Whoever wants to take it.
I might be able to do that. Is there any way we could connect that? We could connect that basically back with my family. So that could be my family fled from Dathomir during the Troubles. Would you have had a nemesis on Dathomir? Or it could be one of the Force ghosts that you're in contact with that was beloved to me. Maybe a relative of mine.
Okay, so I have a Force ghost that I know, and they were.
Oh, so if I'm reading this right, let me kind of translate this down. Someone, maybe father or grandfather or grandmother of Alice, was your nemesis,
Yes.
Was
or
Banshee's nemesis.
was Banshee's nemesis, from from a past life, and actually it would be, no, it'd be one of, oh, this is complicated.
I say we flip it a little bit. It's too muddy
Sure,
for a
yeah,
one
yeah,
shot.
it's a little bit too. So let's see how we can bet, like,
I think I could keep track of just the notion that Alice's mother was the nemesis of past Banshee.
okay,
Maybe Alice, your
yeah,
mother, killed past Banshee, but I like you, okay.
yeah, that makes a nice mother-daughter echo, reincarnation echo. Let's do that.
Well, let's make it grandmother just to add a little bit of distance. If
Okay.
that makes sense. Yeah, generational. Yeah.
In
And that,
keeping with, I'm sorry, in keeping with my tragedy, could past Banshee have been lovers with your grandmother and then betrayed by lover? That's my tragedy. Your grandmother
Oh,
kills past me.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay.
makes sense. And are you good, Banshee, with Darth Barmetta being the person who first saw you draw your weapon? One of the things is that, slightly unlike other things, you have kind of a psychic saber weapon that you draw forth from yourself from the Force.
Oh, that's real cool. No, I feel like that would be a very intimate thing to observe. So yeah, Darth Dramatic can definitely sneak a peek at that.
Yeah, something darker, and we'll have a chance for you to describe what that weapon looks like, so we can get a sense of that. Stephen, let's come to you. What do you want for the other two of yours?
Who sees my potential is one question. And the other question is, who thought that they took you on a date when you thought it was just a fun, friendly time? And I'm okay with either of you choosing that. Which do you think would fit better?
I doubt I would have taken you on a date unknowingly, but I could see you have potential. You sure have potential.
Fantastic.
You don't want to know what I think you have potential for, but you know.
I like that. So the date thing, does that work for you, Tormenta? Do you want to shape what that looks like? We don't
Yeah,
even
well,
necessarily, it
that
could be
is
date, it could be hitting on, it could be,
So
trying to get
I
in the right.
imagine we've established this relationship so far that I've been talking to you a lot about like your transition, and all of that. And I think I asked you intimate questions, things that are very personal during that process. And either you thought that was more intimate than I intended, or um you thought you might be able to use intimacy with me to get
interesting.
something you wanted. How about that?
Yeah, I think the tone of it is that Tormenta thought that there was more of a romantic connection than you did. So Of course, what I would admit to others is that I saw you as a useful tool. But maybe, yeah, maybe I thought there was an attraction there that wasn't shared. I'm into that. That sounds
Nice.
cool.
Fantastic.
And then for our seeker, for Sister Ivory, who do you
Yeah.
want for these last two?
Who's the most outrageous of your new companions? And I think that's Banshee. I mean, she draws a psychic weapon from her body. That's rad, but it's also kind of outrageous because, I mean, is that really how you're supposed to use the Force? Just
Okay.
wondering here. And I think the model for local customs is Alice, because she knows her way around, right? She knows the nature and she talks to animals. And I think she has potential for doing more than that, but she's my model for how to behave in the surroundings like that for now.
Okay. So let me ask you, I'm going to come back to Dark Tormenta. Go to the PCs tab. Darth, you're going to tell us how many strings the other characters have on you, and they're going to mark these down, and you're going to go to each person, and they can either have 0, 1, or 2 strings on you. Basically, you're going to tell us how much like emotional impact, emotional control you think they have. So for Banshee, do you think Banshee has 0, 1, or 2 strings on you?
Then she has no power over me whatsoever. Please mark 2 strings.
Okay. So mark that down, David. And then what about for Alice?
And so it's two. It's basically 0, 1, 2 going to the 3.
And 0, 1, or 2, and you can do like you give them all 2, or you can give them all 1.
Oh, good. Yeah, 2 to everybody.
Okay.
I hate all of you. You have no power over me whatsoever.
So everybody mark 2 strings. And strings in this game, they give you benefits for some moves, but they can also be spent to try and kind of compel. There's a particular move for that there. David, how many strings does Tormenta have over you?
Okay, and I just want to make sure I think I might have missed how this works. You get to assign 1, 2, or 3.
Nope, you could get everybody 2, you could get everybody 1, you could get 1, you could get 0, 1, 2. Everyone gets either 0.
There's no
1,
budget. There's no
budget.
limit. There's no max.
Oh,
You just
got it,
determine
okay.
each person individually.
Yeah.
Okay, and strings represent the amount of power they have over you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
It's 4. Just go ahead.
Yeah, Tormenta, just take all the strings. You can have 3.
So 2 for Tormenta.
Okay, 2 for Tormenta. Okay, so Tormenta
has 2, and Tormenta will write that down. And then how many does Alice have on you?
Alice,
1. I like Alice.
Okay. Yeah.
It seems reasonable. I don't think Sister Ivory would have strings on me because we don't know each other that well.
That seems fair.
Okay, and I just wanted to confirm this. Tormenta, did you say that I had 2 strings on you, or how many was it? 0, 2?
2.
2.
She says 0, but it's actually 2.
Oh, but it's okay. Got it.
And then Alice, how many strings does Tormenta have on you?
I think Tormenta has 1.
Okay. Banshee
Has 2.
Okay. And Sister Ivory.
I think Sister Ivory also has 1.
Okay. And then last but not least, Sister Ivory, how many does Tormenta have over you?
I think she has 1. I mean, she killed my master. That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't admit that, but Banshee is odd, and I don't know them very well. But I'm curious about the sword thing, so give her 1.
Okay.
And for Alice, yeah, I will also give her 1 because she knows a lot, and I need to figure out what she knows.
Absolutely. So we are, in just a sec, going to take our first break. I'll point out to you the NPC tab. We have some existing NPCs. I have our senior Nightsister. As I mentioned before, the founder has passed away, and this is kind of no successor was appointed, but she's the most senior, and it's kind of devolved. She's one of the Nightsisters who has been here a long time. Most of you have either come recently or have gone away and come back. We've got a couple others. I have a novice who is our youngest of the Nightsisters, Brahma Pavan, and then a couple of other Nightsisters just to have some figures there. So they're out there for them. We have some villains on the second row, which might pop up. And then if you need NPC pictures as well, I also have some pictures a couple rows down of some faces there that I might use, that you might use. We'll see. When we come back, we're going to do a little bit of collaborative talk about like where the coven is, what the situation is like before we do the opening scene here. So let's take 10. We'll come back at, let's say 20 after the hour, and then we'll get started. Sound good? Okay. So we start out and we are in space. I think we get that nice slow come pan in shot that we expect from Star Wars. And I think that we have a moment and we can see the red planet of Dathomir there turning slowly down below. You know, it's crimson, it's red, and we see in orbit around the planet some Imperial ships. We know that there's a First Order garrison. By the way, I'm going to use the phrase Imperial and First Order interchangeably. I mean the same thing. Basically, the bad guys. We see some of their ships up there. We know that there's a garrison. We probably see some TIE fighters, doing the sweep by patrol with the sound effect. And we see a smaller Imperial ship, maybe a Corvette transport ship, and we see an explosion, and we see a shuttle coming off from it and plummeting down towards Dathomir below, and it is coming in, and we see a pair of TIE fighters peel off to go after it, and there's some fire there. We see one of the engine nacelles on it catch fire. It hits the atmosphere. We get turbulence. It's going through the storms. We spent a lot of budget on this, by the way. One of the TIE fighters gets hit by lightning. We see it crackle across it, and then it strikes a mountaintop. The other one is coming in, gets a couple more shots before we can see the pilot is the shuttle is pushing it, and then banks off at the last minute. Of course, classic TIE fighter clips the wing on the mountain and goes tumbling off. But then we see another lightning strike, red, hit the shuttle, and an explosion on it, and we see it falling to the planet below. And that cuts wipe. So we're on Dathomir. I'm going to start with Alice. Alice, the coven, the place where our Nightsisters live, kind of trying to stay out of sight. There's probably a settlement that they interact with secretly nearby, but they're trying to stay out from the First Order vision and the Night Brothers and so on. But are we in a jungle? Are we in a swamp? Are we in mountains? Are we in ruins? Where are we? Like when the camera comes in, what do we see?
I think we're in a swamp.
Okay.
Traditionally, this is inaccessible unless you know the lay of the land. So it hasn't been as befouled as the rest of the land that has been, explored and mined and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And we can see the various swamp lights. We can see the red swamp trees. There's a little bit of mist on the ground. They're hanging pods in places. It's very Dathomir. I'll show you a picture of Dathomir swamp here in a moment. But when we come through here, what is the actual coven setup like Sister Ivory? Is it a set of prepared buildings? Is it like tents? Is it makeshift structures? Is it old ruins? Like, what do we see here in the swamp of this place?
I think there is a central old ruin, maybe, that still looks pretty ruined, but all around there are trees in the swamps, right, where you can build structures into. So I think that's what we are, like little more of like nests than like huts or something.
Yeah, some of those classic Star Wars sort of tree buildings with bridges going between them, ropes to swing on from tree to tree. But there is a ruins. We can see that it might have been a Nightsister place at one point, but it has kind of crumbled. It's overrun with the red vines and so on. And when we see this sort of this kind of wild primitive thing, what is the feature that we see here, Darth Termina, that says Star Wars? What's the mechanical thing that's here amongst this? Is it a destroyed? Is it a machine? Is it something else? What is it that we see?
I think what we see is this like gray metallic triangle that could be like the front nose of a Star Destroyer, but the whole thing would have to be buried. So
yeah. Crumbled up, kind of sticking out from there. It serves as a nice coverage. There are probably some tent things built up onto it and so on. And things kind of circle around it. There's no mention of it made, no attention particularly drawn, but it is present there. Banshee, what here, when we see this place, John, what says to us definitely that this is a Nightsister sacred place? Is it a shrine? Is it a circle of stones? Is it tapestries? Is it art? Like, what do we see that tells us that?
Could we put a ruined temple that was destroyed during the Troubles off to one side, half sunk into the swamp?
Yeah, and so what do we see of that temple? Like, what is the symbology on those ruins that we've established that screams that to us?
Oh goodness. Maybe it is kind of a pictograph retelling of the formation of the sisterhood, just sort of etched across this great arch that is like the only thing still really fully intact, to the rest having been collapsed, at least partially.
Absolutely. And I think maybe we do kind of a pass through those ruins. We can see like a well there. We can see there are vapors rising up from it that tells that this is like a center point in these ruins of where the Force ghosts, where people go to talk to them, where they emanate from, and so on. When we come in to this scene, we've seen this setup. What do we see Alice doing? Are you tending to animal? Are you returning from exploring? Are you setting something up? Are you talking with someone?
I think I'm actually working in like the garden. I think we have kind of in the center of the established village, the camp that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We have a small area that we grow native foods so that we don't have to trade as often with the settlement.
And so, of course, this is a Star Wars, this is a sci-fi thing. So we see you harvesting something. What is the alien fruit or vegetable that we see?
It's like, oh, okay. Um, it's sort of shaped like a banana, but it's a orange instead of yellow,
Mm-hmm.
and it has almost like spikes, like a prickly pear looking thing on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you're gathering these up. We'll see Sister Cascada is coming out from where the well is. You can see that seems to be things on her mind. She kind of just stops and watches you for a bit, like maybe that's reassuring to her. Sister Ivory, what do we see of you? in this? What are you doing? Are you practicing? Are you meditating? Are you working? What do you think?
I think I am practicing and meditating because I have to. I learned to practice at certain points in my day, and so I will do that. I have my ancient sword out that I actually found somewhere here. I think I did have a training saber that never felt really like it belonged in my hand, and that might be something that actually keeps me on the planet, that I have this amazing saber thing here that I found.
Tell us about the saber. Is it a lightsaber done in a different style, or is it a metal blade, or is it something else? Is that something other sci-fi?
I think it's something else. Yes,
Okay.
it's you know the trees that grow on this planet, and sometimes you can find a branch that is actually useful for sword work. Mostly they aren't, because they're not hard enough. But sometimes the ghosts get into them, and then you get these ghost infused blade, and you can see the ghosts flicker around the blade a little.
You have a great crafted, ghost haunted wooden blade.
Yep.
that is there.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that, you know, some of the younger Nightsisters who are here, who are like haven't been through the path of the Sith or anything like that, like they still don't understand what to make of you. They know that you're Inquisitor, but they don't know what that means.
Not exactly an Inquisitor. I haven't. I'm the only Sister Ivory. I'm not the 48th sister or something like that. Because somebody killed my teacher, actually.
Yeah. These are fine distinctions that are probably lost on some. But we see that meditation, that practice. What do we see of Darth Tormenta? What is the shot of her?
I think Darth Tormenta is sitting on top of that arch, like crisscross applesauce, as she contemplates. She seems to be perhaps in conversation with something, just speaking low in her voice. Perhaps she's talking to the sisters. Perhaps she's just making sure no one will come around by pretending to talk to some invisible thing. I'm not sure.
Do you think, amongst Sister Cascada and some of the other established sisters that have been here for a while, what do you think the general tone was when you came back? Was it, this is an opportunity to redeem someone? Was it uncertainty, or was it, this is going to end badly for us?
I think Sister Cascada despises my presence here. Ryan sees the opportunity for redemption, but I have refused their advances. And the others are unsure, but wary, listening to the senior Nightsister.
Yeah, and certainly Cascada has reason to worry. You only show up after, you know, the senior is gone in this time of tumult, and it's an open secret about your interactions with Banshee, and what pain is that going to cause. Banshee, then we come to you. What do we see of you in this scene? Darth Tormenta perched up there, Sister Ivory practicing, Alice harvesting.
Do we want us all to be kind of in the same place, or
I'll pull you all together in a moment. So you just tell me where you think you are around the village right now.
I was planning on heading to the ruined temple.
So you're there. What do we see you doing? Are you exploring, praying, helping restore? What do you think?
I was thinking that maybe I have brought Brahma Pavan along with me. She being a novice, I thought I would instruct her in the traditions of our ancient sisterhood, which translates into calling on a toxic power together. Can I volunteer one detail about the temple? It may not ever come into play.
Sure.
Can we maybe have like a shot of me and Brahma kind of, or that is her name, right? Brahma walking along the pathways of the temple, and then the camera shifts focus so that we fade into the background, and in the foreground you have this giant spider web. And the implication is that the temple, in its state of disuse and disrepair, is now infested with these bane back spiders.
Absolutely. We've got those in there. They are held. Like, there are some things that are done by the sisterhood to keep them in place. And we don't have spiders as a veil or a line. So this is all good. But I do think she's still nervous, even though you approach this without hesitation. Brava is certainly a little nervous about who you are. And before we go to the next part, Dathomir, what is your reaction as you see Banshee taking this lovely young Padawan off by herself into the temple?
Arch a brow, some of the very few hairs left on Tormenta's body. She slaps her hands on the arch, pushes herself up from her seated position, and starts walking down the arch as if gravity bends to her will, and will be silently skulking behind and spying on them.
And I think that kind of as you're watching this, like maybe you were hoping you're about to overhear or see something, I think that you will hear Sister Cascada. She will say, "Tormenta."
What?
"Come to the gathering circle. There is a matter that I need to discuss with you and some of the others."
Is it your prattling or the violence needed?
It could be neither. It could be both.
Work on your cryptic responses.
And Alice, Sister Cascada comes from that calling of Tormenta and says to you, "Alice, I need you to find Sister Banshee and bring her to the circle. I will find Sister Ivory."
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you do, Alice?
I think I gather up some of the rotten fruit. The fruit that has fallen or been partially eaten by some of the wild animals. And I have a feeling I know where Banshee went. She's often in the temple. And as I go there, I'm going to walk slowly and patiently. If I'm not mistaken, Darth Tormenta was just that direction, right?
Yeah, the Sister Cascada has clearly sent her off she's gathering some people together for something.
And I kind of, as I see Darth Tormenta, wander past, I nod, patiently, and head on back towards the temple. As I come up against, what kind of spiders did you say they were?
Baneback.
Baneback spiders.
Right.
That's whenever I pull out that fruit that's not good for consumption, and I offer it to them as I pass by, sort of as a distraction and, friendliness, in order to go get Banshee.
And I do think there's a moment there when you make your presence known that Brahma like reacts maybe like a little guilty because she's there with Banshee, maybe like a little nervous about the spiders and holding on to her. Banshee, what's your reaction when, even as you're about to kind of talk and perhaps teach, Alice comes in and interrupts you?
Alice, I wasn't expecting to see you here. And I kind of hastily kick some dirt over a bit of like a rune or a circle that I've just finished drawing.
Pardon the intrusion. It was not. It is. I do not intend to be rude. However, Sister Cascada has asked for me to find you and return with you uh to her council. Would you mind returning with me? I think it may be important. I see others scuttling about.
It must be urgent. And I will say, well, Brahma, we will have to postpone until a later date. Evidently, a higher priority calls. I say that somewhat sarcastically.
I understand. No, it's all right. And she'll kind of bow her head, kind of runs a little bit ahead of the two of you as you head towards this meeting. Sister Ivory, kind of you'll see the shadow as Sister Cascada comes over to you. She will say, Sister Ivory, I have a favor to request of you.
Well, okay, I'm listening.
I need to send some people out to investigate something. And I would like to ask you to take charge of this.
Okay.
Good. Come with me.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the three of you are gathered when Sister Cascada comes back with Sister Ivory, and she will look at the four of you and she will say, one of our scouts observed a ship going down. They were able to track it back, and it seems like it was fired upon by First Order TIE fighters. Though it is apparently an Imperial shuttle, it is not too distant from here. It is 10 star clicks away. It's in the mountain valley that is on the way to our neighboring settlement that we do some trade with. It makes me nervous. I don't know if this is a trap or if there is some other thing at play here, but we need to investigate. It is too close to the coven just to leave it on its own. So I would like you four to go and Sister Ivory to lead.
Yeah, we will go and investigate this, and if it's dangerous, we will take care of it. If it's not, we will also take care of it.
You were going to say something, she says, Sister Tormenta?
Why her?
Why her? Why not?
Yes.
Do you not trust her?
If you mean to insult me, we can fight this out here, right and now. Just
The winner becomes the leader of this little excursion.
we are not the commanders of this village. You are not to decide. It is up to the sister here to decide this. So, but if you want to insult me, I will be happy to fight you, because I will not be insulted by the likes of you. Darth Tormenta.
Sister Cascada will step forward and say, Sister Tormenta, you have come here to us asking for another chance, right?
I'm here.
If you wish that chance, this is what is required. Can you do that?
When she disappoints you all, I'll make sure that we are successful.
Nice. Banshee, what is your reaction to this charged moment?
May I try the figure out a person move targeting Tormenta?
Sure. Do you have a let's look at that move because it's been a bit. So do you have a string on Tormenta?
Yes.
Do you want to spend a string to give yourself a +3?
Ooh, I get a +3. Goodness
Yeah, you
gracious.
just have to spend that limited resource.
Yeah, let's do it. Go down
Okay.
to 1.
So what is your wit?
It's a 0.
Okay, so you just roll with a +3 here.
Okay.
And
Is there an interrupt? I don't think there is, right? Is there a help or an interrupt or anything like that?
so let's look at that. There's definitely a help move, a comfort and support. Let's look at that. That's emotional support. We
Mhm.
don't have a direct help move in here.
Interesting.
Uh,
Okay.
But one of the things is that like you'll be able to if you see them studying, I mean you can respond in kind.
Yeah.
Well, let's have you roll, Banshee. The roller is here. I'll grab it's in the.
I've got it here.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Gonna go ahead and roll at a +3.
Yeah.
9.
Okay. So here's the thing: you get to ask 2 questions, either now or later. But Darth Tarmena gets to ask one back.
Okay.
I would laugh fiendishly, but I don't need to. What do you want to ask? What's your first question? And then I'll give Darth Tormenta a bite at the proverbial apple.
Okay. First question is, what are your feelings toward me?
You realize Darth Tormenta is angry at Sister Ivory being placed over this group. She does not. Darth Tormenta does not want to be seen as beneath Sister Ivory in your eyes.
Then Darth Tormenta, what do you want to ask of Banshee?
How would you feel if I killed Sister Ivory in front of you? Would that be a turn on? Would you be into that? Just asking.
Horrified, and I mean, your prowess is attractive. I will give you that. But why would it have to be Sister Ivory? So it would be a mixed feelings kind of thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't hate you for it. I'll tell you that. I would not hate you for it.
But some disappointment there, perhaps.
There's almost nothing that you could do to make me hate you, but why must you make it hurt to love you is what I wonder.
Oh, that's awesome. Good answer.
Banshee, do you want to ask your last question, or do you want to save that one?
How could I get you to pay more attention to me?
Well, you definitely had my attention when you went off with that stupid, ugly waif of a girl.
So do things to make you jealous, perhaps?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
basically that's yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a nice transparent reaction there that we can see of the two of you reading one another. Alice, you're probably the person who has the most sort of outdoors experience and of the group here. So is there anything we see you doing to get ready for this journey?
I think I put together packs, and these are small little, almost the size of a pouch, but they slide onto our backs. They won't interfere with us. And I put, some dried fruits, some food, miscellaneous things, maybe some medicine in that, all very natural stuff, and then I hand them out to the other three.
Okay. And I think Alice, lead the way. I think you know the surroundings best.
I will, at the interaction, that tense interaction between Tormenta and Ivory, if I may, I will take a step forward and lay a hand on Tormenta's arm and say, "It's okay. If Sister Ivory messes this up, I will take responsibility for it."
Shakes her arm off. The moment I want your touch, I will take it from you, and I don't need your assurances.
I think I'm distracted by Alice to recognize this further insult of my abilities, because then I would have to challenge you, and I don't want to run around challenging people all the time.
And there's a moment where you see Sister Cascada cut like maybe a moment of regret, like, oh, this is going to go terribly wrong, across her face. And I think it is one of the Force ghosts that is saying that to her, and she's saying, we have to trust them. And then we do the wipe, Star Wars wipe across.
Yes.
And we cut to like a shot through the little binoculars. And we'll see like it is the pathway into this valley. There is a land speeder and a set of 3 first order swamp troopers. They have the white, but they have the green kind of pattern on them to mark out their thing, to give them a little bit of camouflage. I can actually, let me insert an image here in the thing, because I found one that looked really good for this. So give me 1 second here. Where are they? Here is below in that 3rd row. That's what they look like there. But you can see that further down the valley, there's some stands of trees and things like that. And there's a plume of smoke down there. So it seems like these troopers are kind of monitoring the passage here. Right now, from where you're at, you've got sort of 2 choices. You could try and take them out, or you could try to move up on the cliffs a little precariously to move past them quietly.
I don't like having them at our backs, actually.
It is only natural for us to avoid them, because if we don't, if we engage with them, others will come, and then it will be dangerous for us to fail our mission. So I suggest that we take the more circuitous route and trust that we will be disguised from them.
Sister Ivory, you kind of have stated your position, and then
Yeah.
the Alice contract.
No, that is fine. She's not insulting me. That's okay. She's not the authority. I don't have to obey her, but she's not insulting me. I'm good with that. She's the expert. I'm willing to listen to an expert on this. Yeah, I say okay. If that's your take, that I think you might be right, then, that we might not be fast enough to take them all out as
Quickly she
quickly
backs down.
Okay, Tormenta, then go and take them out.
I'll start
As-
walking forward.
And if they but you realize that if they attract attention and will fail the mission, it will be your fault and not mine.
Oh, yes, you'll avoid all blame, sister. Nikes the lightsaber, starts doing the drag it along the ground thing.
So
It's
you're
totally just going to walk right in and
just
kill a bunch
walking
of
towards them.
stormtroopers.
So you go down the slope towards them. They're gonna see you, Banshee. What do you do when
When she starts walking up, I will just because we need to take them out quickly. I realize that she can't do that alone. I won't let a weaker person fight my battles. So
you also start
Yeah.
moving down there?
yeah, but maybe not quite as.
Right. Well, certainly Darth Vader will take point on this. Banshee, are you staying here? Are you following behind?
I will follow behind. Just so I understand correctly, Tormenta's advancing.
Going down the hillside out
Right.
from cover towards these 3 stormtroopers and their lights, their land speeder.
Okay, Ivory and Alice are hanging back.
Ivory is also following, but letting
Okay.
Tormenta go first.
Got it. I will remain close to Ivory, but my eyes are on Tormenta.
Okay. So Tormenta, you go down and I imagine we get the music cue stinging up. What does it look like? I mean, do you go running at them? Are you using your force powers to affect them somehow at a distance before you get there? Like, what do we see?
If you
What-
don't mind, let me
Oh.
step in for just a second. Alice, as soon as Darth Tormenta heads down directly at them, Alice slips off into the swamp, into the side foliage, and I'm going to double time it down there, using Tormenta as a distraction,
Okay,
so that I can be down there closer to them to help out whenever I'm needed.
sounds good. Tormenta.
Yes, what I would like to do is trigger my wicked past. Perhaps I could see insignia on the swamp troopers that shows who they report to, and I have a connection. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely. I
interesting?
think you will particularly see the branding that of Major Jakal, a First Order commander who you've interacted with before on not good terms, and these are some of her troops, her personal troops.
Awesome. I am giving Major Jakal a string on me,
Okay.
and I get to ask a question from the figure out a person list. How could I get you to allow me to understand your plans here? How can I get you to tell me why you're here?
Hmm. So I think that they have enough hatred of you that like if they learn of your presence here, they will undoubtedly overreact and expose themselves. Does that seem like a fair answer?
That seems perfectly fine.
Okay. And so you're charging at these. What do you want to do? Are you using force to change up the situation, or do we want to go straight to a fight move? What would you like?
Oh, just a reminder, we see some swamp troopers. They have a vehicle.
They have a land speeder that's kind of sitting there. They're
Mhm.
standing at attention guard. None of them are in the land speeder.
Okay. Yeah, I think use the force to upend the speeder because I don't want them to be
Okay.
able to communicate, anything like that.
So that's calling upon powers. So
Oh, okay. I
as
can
you're
do that.
running down, you've got your lightsaber behind you, but you reach out. What stat do you use to call upon your force powers?
And so call upon the force powers is not the toxic power, but the new thing you added.
Yeah,
There it is.
It's
Yeah, it's
C3.
unleash the power. That's right. Okay, I think for Tormenta, she would call upon her. Well, I want to have some differentiation, and since toxic power is spirit, we'll go with daring.
Okay. So let's have you roll with daring. You don't have any conditions marks, so you're just rolling with daring.
Just noting, so to remind myself that it's daring before calling upon powers. And that is 2d6 plus 2. That is a 10.
So what does that look like? I mean, you do this spectacularly. What did we see happen?
Oh, yes. She comes forward with the lightsaber, and when they start to notice her, she just casually flicks her hand, and the speeder whoop, 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 rolls over a few times and maybe slams into a tree.
Yeah, and I think it crashes, and I think those stormtroopers, like, they were watching you, and then suddenly this happens, and like they've kind of scattered a bit. They haven't got their weapons up right now. Sister Ivory, what do you do?
They're scattering. That makes them easier targets. I mean, now we're in a fight. We're not. I'm not talking to these guys. I want them out of the way now.
Then that's fight. Then,
Yeah.
do you fight with
Grace?
Grace? Okay,
I fight with Grace.
Let's have you roll.
And it looks like that I'm kind of. I think I've climbed the trees. There are some trees, so I run up the trees and then jump down from the tree at one of them.
Dropping down from above with skill and grace. Let's have you roll it.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. Maybe if I can spell that properly. So, that's a 12.
That's a 12. So choose 3 from fight there. And literally each time you choose mark a condition, we'll take out one of these troopers.
Oh, wow. So that means I can take out all 3?
If you wish.
I wish.
Okay. What does that look like?
I mean, it looks like they are still staring at the speeder that is kind of flying away, and I'm jumping from the tree. I hit one of them with the sword, and then I kind of run up the falling body to the. And then I look up and look at Tormenta and say, good distraction. Thank you.
I think as you hit that last one and knock them back, there is that moment when gets one shot off and that blaster wings you. Mark a condition.
Yeah.
It looked amazing. First 2, the third, even the third strike was beautiful, but just that one stray shot.
I'm angry. That seems to fit the mood.
Okay. Banshee. These stormtroopers are down. The land speeder is flipped. Sister Ivory is hit.
I think there is. So there's no obvious threat, right?
No.
They've been all knocked out, just Sister Ivory. So I think there is a brief shot where you see me with my hand held very close. I can't really show it on camera, but really close to my abdomen. And there's almost this red glow coming from it as I was just about to pull my blade from my body. But I bring my hand down, no one sees, and I take off for Sister Ivory to attend to their wound.
All right. Do you want to try and offer them emotional support to potentially clear a condition?
Sure do, yes.
Do you want to roll heart or spirit?
Spirit.
Okay.
How do you offer this support?
Yeah.
So are you on the ground? Have you gotten back up and you are kind of like where are you?
I dropped down to step the last one, and then I straightened up, ignoring the wound, and snarked at Tormenta.
So you're standing up then?
Yeah, I'm standing up.
Okay. And where were you shot?
I think the shoulder, maybe.
Yeah,
Shoulder.
classic shot is in the shoulder, upper
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah.
Right. I run to you, and if you were shot in the right shoulder, I come up to you on your right side, put one arm around your left shoulder so that you are held close to me, and I say, hold still. It doesn't look good, but I think you'll be okay. And I'm kind of just tenderly examining the wound. And I have you positioned purely coincidentally so that we're both kind of facing Darth Tormenta as I just kind of gingerly examine this grievous wound that you've taken, that I might be able to heal you.
So,
I am visibly flustered by the way you're behaving.
yeah. So Banshee, I think you've got two purposes for this here. You could either be doing that emotional support to help Sister Ivory clear that condition, or you are trying to entice either Darth Tormenta or Sister Ivory. What do you think?
Oh dear. Well, I think I originally wanted to do emotional support, but I think what's happening is this is more of an entice thing, which means I'm rolling with heart, which is not my
Yeah.
good stat, but oh well.
Let's have you roll.
I'm also let me see how the roll goes. And who am I targeting this entice at?
Is it Darth or is it Sister Ivory?
I'm thinking Darth. I'm thinking Darth.
Okay.
So let's see. This is going to be at a +0. Oh goodness, which tab did I have this open in? Here it is. Sorry. So this is a entice at a +0. And I don't get to spend strings here to get a +3, do I?
This one doesn't give you a bonus for that.
Okay. That is a 3.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and bump my tragedy up by 1 because I'm
Yeah.
acting in a way that could fulfill my tragedy of being betrayed by a lover.
Darth Tormenta, what is your reaction that absolutely shuts Banshee down?
Yeah, what's the reaction that shuts her down? Simple. Tormenta just extinguishes her lightsaber, turns her back, and walks away. And then stabs. Like, just double taps the stormtroopers.
Banshee, would you please mark a condition and then I'll come to Sister Ivory?
Yeah.
You were saying Sister Ivory?
I would like to try and get rid of a condition.
Okay.
And I would like to trigger my people move and share something good about my home. And if I do it right, or do I have to roll? I think I have to roll hard first.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Yeah, because I will explain to you that is an odd way you have of doing this. Where I come from, we would just use a. I will name some rather gruesome instrument. I don't want to go into detail. That we would use to suture a wound shut, and that would be that, and then we would have an appropriately gruesome scar.
So let's have you roll that with heart, and then I'm going to come to Alice.
Okay. Heart is 0. Wow. Okay,
That's perfect.
Yeah, I can choose two.
Yeah, clear a condition. And what's the other thing you want?
Oh, I think I say I want to lie about my home to impress the listener, of course, and I will say, and that was so quick. It was just like you were on your feet like that, just yeah.
And who are you taking the string on?
I think Banshee in this case, because I'm talking to her. I'm not talking to Tormenta. I don't care what she does. She's just playing with the dead people. That's what floats her boat. Fine.
Okay. So Alice, we've seen this combat. There's been blaster fire. There's been the stormtroopers dropped, and then the as Tormenta finishes them off. There's also, of course, the horrible crashing sound when this land speeder got flipped over. Now you've moved past undercover, and so you're closer to the valley. So let me tell you what you see, and then you can tell me what you do.
Okay.
You've gotten a little further down from where this melee is going on, and you can see that there is the wreckage of a shuttle. You can see that there is a Imperial like ground transport, like a little prison transport thing that's there. There are a couple of stormtroopers there, like a little squad of them. You will see that there is a couple of the stormtroopers who are in the fancier armor that says to you that, well, they're not Knights of Ren. They're kind of part of the entourage of them. So you suspect there's somebody important there amongst the warriors. But more importantly, you will see that the troopers are loading 3 people from the wreckage into that prisoner transport. At this distance with the smoke and stuff, you can't quite make out exactly who they are, but you definitely see that. What do you want to do?
I think I want to see if I can get closer to this so I can follow the transport. Does it look like the transport's about to take off?
They're loading the prisoners up right now. Unless something changes about the situation, they're going to load them up and clearly move on. So the opportunity still remains to stop the transport.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can't slip up closer. And then I think I want to call upon my powers to see if I can take one of those swamp trees that was damaged and have it fall across the transport.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So we'll see you move forward away from the others, get closer, and you're again reaching out with the force, with the force pull to do this. What stat is it that you roll to use your powers?
I think I roll with heart, and I'm actually communing with the trees to have them fall over. This one tree give up the ghost in order to protect the rest of us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's have you roll.
That is a 7.
That is a 7. So on a 7 to 9, with that use of your powers, you will succeed. And this tree will come down in front of this thing to block its route. But you will see a figure step out from behind one of these transports, and they are looking straight at you. You see they have this tattoo on their face. They have the black dress of the Sith on them. They have a pair of lightsabers at their side, and they are looking right at you. Does that feel like an okay cost?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Okay. Let's take our second break here for just 5 minutes. Let's take that, and then we're going to come back and kind of bring the 2 scenes together here, okay? So to frame up our situation where it's at, the land speeder has been flipped over. The stormtroopers are dealt with, and Ivory, Tormenta, and Banshee are there. Now Alice has gone a little bit ahead, and Alice can see what is going on with this prisoner transport, these troopers, and this Sith that is there. So I do want to give Alice sort of first choice on what I want to do, and then I want to come back to Ivory and Tormenta and Banshee in kind of that order. So you've realized what's going on. You've smashed that tree down. You've drawn the attention of this Sith. Do you want to engage further? Do you want to fall back? Do you want to do something else?
So I think we make that eye contact, right? And there's that moment of recognition. And then I turn and I start, heading running back, and I'm gonna kind of flip through the trees like the Nightsisters do, because tree work is fun. And whenever I get within earshot of the others, I say, "Sisters, I'm bringing him back to you. Be ready."
So I want you to defy danger for this. I think you're in a threatening situation. Let's go ahead and have you make that roll. What do you want to roll this with? Grace?
I think that's Grace.
Okay.
And my familiar Kiki helps with that. So my Grace is 1, and I get an additional 1. So I got a 7.
7. So I think that if this feels okay with you, your main goal is you really want to tell them that something's coming, or is your main goal to get away?
My main goal is to get him to follow me to them.
Okay. So I think that you get blaster fire, and like this group is following stormtroopers and Sith, and I think that you do draw, but I do think you do get hit. You get winged by this as you come running back. The three of you have heard this crashing sound up ahead just as you're finishing off your conflict, and then you hear the sound of multiple stormtrooper blasters, and you'll see the laser fire, and then out of the trees appears Alice, who says they're coming this way, and then you see her get hit by a bolt and fall out of the tree. Alice, what do you want to mark?
I marked frightened.
Okay, because you're actually closer to them than you are to your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Ivory, what do you want to do?
There's someone coming. Yeah, I think what I want to do here is I will say yeah, I will stand up, get up, and start climbing a tree, turn back at Tormenta and say, if you can throw that thing again, that would be nice.
So what is your main goal? Is your main goal to kind of get a sense of the situation, or is it something else?
My main goal is getting into attack position.
Okay.
Because I attack from above. That was a good strategy.
Up a tree. There is a squad of stormtroopers coming, running this way, but amongst them is a figure wielding a pair of lightsabers. You can also see that there is a transport truck behind them that is powering up to leave.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll leave the Sith and guys to Tormenta, and I'm going after the truck, I think.
Okay. So how do you
I will say this, I will yell down, I'm taking out the truck. You take care of these guys.
Okay. How do you want to do that? What do we see on screen? Are you trying to hold it with your force powers? Are you leaping over onto the truck?
Yeah, leaping is fun.
Okay. So I think it's defy danger to get over like that, close that distance and get up on top of that truck. Does that seem fair?
That seems totally fair, yes.
What do you want to roll that with?
Grace.
Okay.
Grace is my go-to stat for stuff like that, I think.
Let's have you roll.
No, that does not go well. I do not jump like a Sith.
So I think you do jump beautifully, but out of the corner of your eye, you see that Sith with the lightsaber look up and boom, and gestures and grabs you with the force and throws you into the cliffside.
Okay, that seems fair. Yeah.
Make a market condition.
Yep. Okay.
Darth Tormenta, or Tormenta. Tormenta. You see a gaggle of stormtroopers coming this way. Alice is laid out on the ground for the moment. To your ultimate satisfaction, you see Sister Ivory go to leap and get whipped out of the air.
There's actually a moment of shock that crosses Tormenta's face when this happens. She didn't see that coming. And she'll never admit it, but there's a boat where she just checks to see, is Ivory okay? She doesn't move, she doesn't say anything, but her eyes are drawn and when Ivory moves, she trains back to the stormtroopers. And am I able to see? Is it? Are you thinking Magent or Magent?
I definitely think you see like who did it, come like as these stormtroopers come forward, there's smoke here, they're coming forward, and you'll see the glow of the two lightsabers, and you know what has happened.
How are you saying that Sith's name? Because I want to also say it that way.
So I actually been saying Magent.
Magent. Okay. I think I know Magent. I would like to give her a string.
Okay. Darth Tormenta.
Magent.
Well met, traitor.
I told you never to come to Dathomir, you fool. Now I'm going to have to kill you. What a shame. How could I get her to roll over? Basically, how can I get her to submit?
So you're spending so you have a string on her, and that's you're asking the question?
I give her a string on me. That's part of my wicked past. And then I get to, if I give them a string, I get to ask them a question, figure out a person.
There is a bit in the back of her mind that you're evil. Like, she knows you, you're evil. And that back of her mind, that niggling thing that, okay, this might all be a put on. You might not be with the heroes. So if you were to, say, strike down one of your allies, she would certainly buy into that. Does that seem like a fair answer?
It is a deliciously fair answer. Strike down your ally. So, okay, cool. I like it.
Let me check in with Banshee and Alice, and then I'm actually we'll kind of come around. Does that feel good?
Yeah.
Banshee, you see this, and I think you can see that the crackle of tension, the relationship, the knowledge between Tormenta and this other Sith. Plus, there's all this blaster fire and such going on, and a truck getting away.
Right. This is sort of out of character, but Tormenta, do you want to solo this person, or do you want me to... Or, well, maybe not do you want me there, but I'm inclined to go there. So would you prefer to take this solo, or...
To step back, I am worried about us getting all mixed up in our drama and failing the mission. I, Rich, do not want that transport truck to get away. So if you want to like step in my way and I go after the thing, I Rich don't care if Darth Tormenta duels Magent at all. But I Rich definitely do not want that transport to get away.
Okay.
So if that makes sense. If you want to jump in and take this duel and I have to go after the transport, awesome. If you want to go past and go after the transport and leave Darth Tormenta behind, it's totally in your hands.
I think it's cooler if you take Magent, so I will, in that case, how near Lowell is this transport truck that's kind of firing up and starting to take off? Is it
with a big move, like a defy danger, like Sister Ivory tried to roll, you could make it to the truck, because right now you've got to get past these stormtroopers and Sith to get to it, because they're in between you and it.
Okay.
You could use the force from a distance. I mean, maybe you have force lightning.
Hmm.
Who knows what kind of powers you have?
I was going to say, maybe there is some way that I could not so much run to the truck as stalk toward the truck, but doing it kind of in the open with blaster fire kind of coming you past my face.
Yeah.
And maybe I can put up some kind of force shield
Yeah,
so that the occasional blast will
I like you
hit.
doing it with call upon your powers to do that. Like you are just going full in your element, charging through to get to it, no questions asked.
Right, and as I do so, I still have my hand at my side. The red glow is emanating. It looks like the blade might be coming out this time, but I'm just going to try to see if I can get there without getting shot first.
Okay, let's have you make that roll. What is the stat that you roll for using your force powers?
I'll declare spirit.
Okay.
So we're at a +2 here. 13.
Holy moly. So I imagine you start stalking slowly, but then you pick up speed and the music picks up speed as you rush through. What does your blade look like? Like, does it come out so you can deflect it? Or are you just doing the field around you? What do you think that is?
I'm just gonna do the field, just the
Okay.
shield for the time being. But once I get to the truck, my inclination is to blade stab right through the door.
Okay.
So
So right now you have smashed through like a portion of the line of these stormtroopers. They've tried to fire on you. You've drawn some of their attention, and we see you leap onto the back of that truck as it's starting up, and you'll jab your blade, will come out, will glow, and will jab it into the back. You're kind of hanging on the back of it by your blade. Does that seem fair?
yeah, that works. That works. Can I
Okay.
get so I do have the blade out then?
If you want it to, or else you could, if you have another tool that you're using to do it, what do you want?
Is there a way? So I just want to make sure that I'm able to prevent the person from driving this transport.
Oh, they're going to be
off.
driving, but you're going to be on the back of it.
Oh, but I'll be on the back of it. I will. Let me think here. Yeah, can I just like cling to the back of it then?
Yeah, absolutely. Just
I'll wait
leap
for a
up,
moment to get the blade out.
grab onto it, and you are
Yeah.
you have it secured.
Good.
And I think that's with a good enough roll that you're not immediately going to get flung off if it tries to do any fancy maneuvering there.
Sounds good.
You've got a solid grip. Alice.
So I think I'm, face down in the dirt where I've been shot, and the troopers are coming up at me. And I think I'm going to roll from where I am into the waters of the swamp and hide.
Okay. So you just want to get yourself out of danger here?
Yeah.
So let's
Maybe.
have define danger. I think you're in a dangerous position. So let's have you roll, and then we'll tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll probably with wit because I think this is cleverness. My wit's a -1, but my familiar gives me a +1.
Okay.
And I got a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that you can do that and get away from them, like get out of sight of them. But I do think there is that moment where you kind of roll over and then you are in water, like you roll into some of the swamp and immediately are kind of soaked and wet and cold. Does that feel like a reasonable cost?
I planned on that anyway, so you
Okay.
could go a little harder if you wanted.
Okay. And I think that when you do that, when you fall in that water and you're like that, and you're like, okay, now I'm covered. But I do think behind you we see classic Star Wars. There's a body of water. A tentacle comes up out.
Perfect.
Like an eye stalk tentacle behind you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Let's swing back to Sister Ivory. You see Tormenta and Magent engaged in a verbal duel there. There's stormtroopers firing. You don't see where Alice is, but you see that Banshee is on the back of that truck. What do you want to do?
Stormtroopers are firing at whom exactly?
Well, they're firing at Tormenta. Some of them are trying to still trying to catch Banshee if they can. Some of them are firing where Alice was, and a couple are probably coming your way.
Okay. So we have a lot of, how many of them are there?
8.
8. That's yep. I mean,
they're not good shots though for some reason.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay, so I don't think I need to fight Tormenta's battles or or Banshees, I guess. Or maybe I do. I don't know. I'm kind of a little confused about the not fight a weaker person's battles. Is that what does that include? Anyway, there are some. I have an idea though.
Okay.
There's still the. I no. Wait, I'm not doing that. I think I'm basically ignoring the whole thing. And I think, yeah, what we're going to do is go after the transport again, because that's where I wanted to go. And at least Tormenta is taking care of one of the problems that is behind me.
So, so Banshee is on the back of the truck. Is it's holding on? So you want to try and run up, dodge the blaster fire and get up on the truck as well?
If there is a thing that is firing blaster fire around, I would like to take that out.
Okay.
That's my main goal. Just jump on the truck and snip off the blaster firing thingy.
Well, this is actually the stormtroopers are firing at you as you're running.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we can do this as defy danger to get up to it, avoiding the blaster fire with that as a possible cost. Does that seem fair?
Yep. That seems fair.
And swiftness, elegance. So roll with grace.
Yeah. Yep, it's another 7.
That is a 7. So I think that you will dodge the blaster fire, but I think that you would have liked to have leapt up and gotten on the truck front and looked really cool. But I think you'll realize that you're not going to be able to make that, and you have to jump and grab on beside Banshee at the back.
Okay.
That feel like a cost, you don't get to look as awesome as you would have liked to.
Yeah. I would have liked to be shot more than not look awesome.
Okay.
But,
if you want that as a cost, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've already got a condition marked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you are taking a physical blow. So we look at stagger, which is at 9B. So you have 0 to 3 conditions marked. So you get to choose whether you lash out at someone, you give the opposition an opportunity, or you mark 2 more conditions.
Whose regard matters to you? Do something foolish or harmful. Take advantage of a string. You hold them if applicable. I mean, I could lash out on Banshee, but I think I'm gonna, you know what? I'm marking insecure, and I'm marking kind of guilty because I'm the leader of this mission. I'm fucking it up right now, and I need to not do this because I can fail. That would be horrible.
So you have taken these hits. You're wounded, but you get up to the cab, to the driver's cab. Does that seem like you're in a position right there? And I think you'll see the stormtrooper is hitting the controls and then looks over and sees you as you onto it. So Banshee at the back, you on the front, stormtroopers around. There's blaster fire, and I imagine that Magent and Tormenta are walking towards each other, even as that blaster fire is going around them. What do you want to do, Tormenta?
a gent. Hold your leash now.
I am here with the Major. We are going to cleanse this planet of you. And from what I'm seeing, your Nightsister allies.
You think they hold sway? They are my pawns. Well, Magent, come, meet your death. Boom, boom, boom. It's like a little gesturing with the lightsaber.
Okay. So this is fight.
Fight! Hooray!
Are you rolling with daring or grace?
I don't have any grace.
So daring it is.
It's all daring all the time.
What does your lightsaber fighting style look like?
I imagine she takes inspiration from like Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader. So huge swings, throwing things with the Force. It's very Titanic clash of in an environmental.
Absolutely.
way.
And we've got a big special effects budget. So it is like the fight in the Star Wars video games. Like we go whole hog.
We do.
You know,
Okay.
grab up stuff, that land speeder goes flying, all of that kind of stuff. So let's have you roll daring.
Awesome. Sweet. Here we go. Oh man, I'm a 9. That feels kind of perfect.
So that is a 9. You choose 2.
Oh, and they get to choose one. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. The first thing I will choose is I take an object from your opponent. I will take one of her 2 lightsabers. I think it's a dirty trick. It's one of those where she goes for and I step in and kind of elbow her in the gut and just slide it from slide my hand over her hand and snatch the lightsaber. It never extinguishes. And then I step back and fall into a mockery of her own stance. And I say, oh, my gent. Oh, pitiful. Jekyll can't teach you anything, but I could show you so much. And I'd like to flirt with, to provoke my opponent and gain a string on her.
Okay.
I don't even know what I could do with a string, but it's an option.
Influence
So
with
there you go.
string is on C7. Because you can use it to gain a bonus against them. I think that she falls back and you see her concentrate. She says, maybe you could teach me of this thing called love. Is it Banshee? Is that her name?
Oh, your spies are so pitiful.
I don't
Sister
need
Ivory,
spies.
that's my.
It is forward on your mind right now.
Oh, and I was gonna lie, and she just knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
And I think that's it. Is she took from you, like, there's a little worry. Like you look past her, and there's that fear moment when you see Banshee on that truck, and she reads that.
Oh, and that shock just throws me straight into action. I'll go, and we don't have to roll again or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
go
you're
right back.
we're doing that exchange. She's taking a condition. You two are circling one another. We'll do another round of this in a moment. Let me check in with other people and we'll come back. I think there are stormtroopers that have been flying willy-nilly. I don't think she cares about collateral damage for the troops, and certainly neither do you. And Alice, I think you're in that water kind of look. You see there are a couple of stormtroopers that have run up here, kind of half looking for you, half getting out of the way of their boss. And I think you can sense that there is something in the water with you.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to entice the creature in the water with me. Because if I gain a string on it, I can use that to influence it just like I would with another NPC or something like that.
Absolutely.
So let's try that. I pull some food out of my pack
Okay.
to appeal to its physical sensibilities.
Yeah. Let's have you roll with heart.
Yeah. Oh, I got a 4.
Got a 4. I think that you. What is the food you're holding up?
I think it's one of those fruits that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And I
You
think
hold-
it's
Yeah. You hold that up. You hold that fruit up, and I think that tentacle kind of looks at you, and then we see sploosh, 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 like 8 other tentacles pop up out of the water around, and they grab onto you. I think I want you to mark a condition here.
okay. Can I take an action, a small action, while they
Sure.
grab onto me?
Absolutely, yeah.
I throw the fruit into the middle of the stormtroopers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will say that in a second they are also going to be collateral damage in this, as these things are wrestling you here in the water. Banshee, you saw Sister Ivory streak by. You can feel the shift as the vehicle, and you can tell that she's leapt on the front on the cab. You're here on the back doors of this thing. What do you want to do?
Now it's a prisoner transporter, right?
Yeah. Imagine there's like a pair of solid back doors for this that they've loaded people into. There's a front cab on it.
Any prisoners inside that we know
Yeah,
of?
you're pretty sure. I mean, you can't. I think with your senses, you can sense that there are people in there.
I see.
Probably the people who came down in that wrecked spaceship.
More than likely. Ivory, stop this thing.
On it.
And I will, while Ivory deals with the front of house, I think this is where I will pull my blade and I will try to basically stab into the 2 center doors, cut downwards, severing the lock that connects them, and to throw the back doors open.
I think that is cool and easy for you to do, and I think there is that. And you cut that open, and like when the doors can open, you will see that there are 3 figures that are bound and have essentially like blackout hoods on them there, and a stormtrooper who like has seen the blade come through and raises that up. What do you want to do?
I'm going to try to maybe use the force to wrench his rifle from him. Just
Okay.
throw it out the back, render him unarmed. If we can take one alive, that would be real nice.
Sure. So you're like, this is more solve a problem than anything. So yeah, let's have you call on powers.
Okay. So this is again going to be spirit. Yeah, here we go. That's an 8.
That is an 8. I think that you will wrench that out from him, but you haven't gotten into the back. Like, he is still there, but you're still hanging on to the door. Does that feel like you don't quite finish the job that you would like?
Right. So, but he's disarmed, but I'm still hanging onto the door by a thread, sort of a thing. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So if Ivory's able to stop the vehicle, you'll have the opportunity to get in there easily, but that sort of puts that in doubt for the moment.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. And the vehicles, of course, we get the rushing sound, the music of the vehicle going along there. Sister Ivory, you're on the front of this cab. You see the stormtrooper that's in the passenger seat is fumbling with their blaster as this one is driving.
Do I see the fight between Magent and Darth Tarvina?
I think you are. This truck is moving. I don't think you're anywhere near that at this point.
It's a pity. Okay, in that case, I will use my saber or sword, my blade, and just just stick it through the machinery in front of this guy, to disrupt the truck steering, the communications array, stuff like that.
Okay. Do you want to do this as fight for taking them out, or are you more? Yeah.
I think it's a fight, because I don't necessarily want to be shot again.
Sure.
I feel like I'm not that great a shape.
Yeah. So let's have you roll with Grace.
Yeah. Okay. So that goes. Oh, it's another 8. Wow.
8. So what does it look like when you take this truck out? What are the 2 picks that you want here?
I don't think I want to flirt with him. No, I want to see take the control of this vehicle from them.
Okay, take control.
And, okay, is there a way that I can avoid taking or stop him from harming me?
There doesn't look like there's any choice on those to mitigate that.
But I can get a string on them, and then can I immediately use it to make them not shoot at me by provoking them into I don't know if that's possible. I just don't want them to inflict another condition on me.
Well, I think they're not going to.
Okay.
Because something else is going to happen bad.
Okay. Fine. In that case, I will create an opportunity for an ally for Banshee, because the truck will slow down, right? And that will help her get into the truck.
I think sword goes into this thing. There's a sparks from the consoles. It gets in their face. I think this thing will into the, scrape along the dirt here. But I think that as you're kind of staying there, pulling your blade back, you'll hear one of the troopers on the comms going, "Mayday, mayday. There's a set of Nightsisters here. Backup, call backup. Get here immediately." And that is the cost there, is that they are calling for assistance. And there is a clock now on what you're doing.
Okay.
Darth Tormenta.
Yes.
She's watching you. More?
Or some more. Come, let me impale you with your own blade.
All right. Do you have a string on her now?
I do.
Yeah. So you can, after rolling, spend that to get a +1. So
nice.
Just keep that in mind.
Offer them XP to do something, but it's an NPC, so.
Okay. Well, and essentially with an NPC, they kind of have to accept.
I simply agree. Okay, cool.
So what do you want to do?
I feel like. Let's fight. Let's fight.
Okay.
Yeah. I have this string, but I'm looking at it, and I feel like she wants me to betray. She's goading me with the whole stuff around Banshee. So, yeah, I think I need to defeat her. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
So roll daring.
I'll use my 1 string to push that to a 10. Ha-ha!
All right. So you come back in stronger. What is it about this exchange that tells us that you have the upper hand?
It's the extra saber, right? I come overhead, she blocks, and then I swipe across. I come in with her own saber. She barely angles out of the way, but it's the fact that there are 2 different directions that are coming at her with every single attack. I will, through violence, inflict a condition.
Okay. And you can choose that twice if you wish.
Oh, I see. I see. No. Here's what I shall do. I will. Oh yeah. I'll inflict. I get 3, so I'll inflict 2 conditions, and then take her other saber away from her and like toss it. She's got 4 stuff. She can yank it back, but yeah, that's what I want.
And she's like dropped. She's unarmed. She's wounded. She's bleeding there, and you are standing over her, and she says, "Give in to your hate again. Do it. Kill me. Show me what you were."
She glances past Magent, makes sure, like, she's not around, right? She
Right.
can't see this. She does the Anakin.
And I think you hear that we realize that wasn't the voice of her. It was the voice of that chorus of Nightsisters speaking in your mind, and her body forward. Alice. There's stormtroopers. I've moved forward, and now they're screaming as these tentacles are coming out of the water and are grabbing them. And you're in the midst of it. And what do you do?
I want to call upon my powers of the Force, and I want to levitate up, basically.
Okay.
So let's see what that looks like before I narrate too far. Yeah.
So you're rolling with heart. Do you have any conditions marked?
I do. I have 2 conditions marked.
So you roll heart at a -2.
Minus. Oh yeah. Okay. My heart is a +1, so I'd be rolling effectively at -1.
Yes.
Okay. Good. That is a 9.
Nice. So what is it that is kind of embarrassing about this that doesn't look as like, because I think Darth Tormenta can see you coming out of this, like, what doesn't look great here?
I think it starts out and it looks super cool. Basically, I rise out of the water, and there's some of these tentacled beasts. I imagine they look like the Rathtar things that circle around and have tentacles everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Rise with me. And, it's like I'm powerful, and then all of a sudden, those Rathtar beasts kind of clamp on, and I get kind of wiggly and then kind of splash down onto the edge of the bank of where the swamp is, in a mass of tentacles as they're like flinging about and all of that.
Kind
And it
of
looks messy.
roll out of it. It's not pretty.
Right.
At
And I've got
all.
mud everywhere, and they're slinging mud all over me, and yeah.
Yeah.
I think I even, as I start to get up from all of this, I slip and fall back down.
I think that may be the thing that kind of breaks your reverie, Tormenta, is this fall and this thing, and then you look up and you see Alice Pratt fall and kind of go down the slope.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I was thinking personally, is this an inner conflict for me because I'm using nature and abusing it, but I don't think it went that far.
No.
But when I was looking at it, did Darth Tormenta just do inner conflict?
Oh, I think the cost there was
Okay.
something else. I think when Tormenta broods on this, that may rise to the level of inner conflict, but I think
Okay.
she's talking to her dark side right this second.
Perfect.
Banshee, truck crashes down. Tell me how you, I don't even think it's a roll. Tell me how you take care of this stormtrooper. Is it knocking them unconscious? Is it flinging them away? Is it something else?
I would say that I'm gonna try to knock him unconscious, I think. Goal is gonna be maybe I do some kind of force pull to fling him from the truck and he kind of lands upside down feet up against the trunk of a fallen tree, just slams against it, drops limp to the ground.
Perfect. Fling him out. The truck is down. And do you want to remove the chains on these prisoners, or do you want to keep them here and move them out of here? What's your goal?
I'm going to sort of indiscriminately, after, of course, extinguishing my blade, I'm going to begin pulling hoods off of them, see who these people are.
And you will do that, taking the hoods off, and you will see that two of them are maybe teens. That one is a human and the other one is a Twi'lek. And with them is the third person is an older woman. And I think that you'll immediately realize that these are Jedi. Like, the woman has that feel of being a trained Jedi. The other two, you can tell that they are strong in the light side of the Force. And they look up at you, their rescuer, in terror. Sister Ivory, you've stopped this truck.
Mm-hmm.
Do you come around back? Do you want to finish off the troopers? Where, do you want to move up to?
I think I want to finish up the people who are calling for help. This might be a little too late for to have any effect, but I'm angry. I'm not thinking too straight because I'm insecure as well and hopeless. So yeah, hitting these people feels like that at least it finishes things up.
Absolutely.
Neatly, I guess, yeah. And also they can't shoot me or any of the other peoples in the back.
So I think are you doing this kind of brutally, like you're kind of angry about it?
Well, yeah, I guess I'm doing this.
Then I think you can clear your anger because you break something here that you probably shouldn't have. And I think there is that moment when that haze clears and you kind of realize what you've done there. Like, you let yourself lose control.
Yeah. Inquisitor, we are not trained to never give in to the dark side and never to, I mean, it was too little too late and it was a bit superfluous, but nobody saw that, right?
Nobody saw that. No, this certainly won't affect your attempted path for redemption. Certainly
I've never attempted any path to redemption.
Then why are you here? Why are you among the Nightsisters?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I think that you're even more confused about who you are right this second.
Oh yeah, now I can roll in a conflict because I really don't know.
Good. Let's do that.
Don't know who I am. Yeah, temptation of the dark side, pressure to form blah blah blah. Anything except the set you have used for call upon powers, and I think I would call upon powers actually with daring. Because
it's daring that you used? I thought you were using grace for that.
No, I'm using grace for everything else. I have not used my powers for now, but I think using my powers for me is the like powering through, and it's kind of like brute force instead of other things.
So what do you want to roll for your inner conflict then?
Spirit.
Okay, let's have you roll.
Okay, let's see how that goes. That's a 7.
That is a 7.
What does that mean?
You can flee away from this, kind of run away from this scene of your mistake. You can overreact, or you can mark a condition to keep yourself steady.
I wouldn't overreact, I think.
Okay. Well, how do you overreact? Like how do you swing back the other way against this?
So overreaction would mean that I would not, that would attempt to be even more in control of the situation than oh yeah, and that will be that I get up on the truck and assess what's going on, and I try to overreacting would mean
Trying to assert your authority.
yeah, that's what I would try to do. So I would rather ineffectually, I guess, yell at maybe Banshee, she's closest, to go and help Alice. She seems to be in a bad situation here, and she obviously can't do anything that is even remotely helpful.
So
Sorry,
this feels like a good point
Sorry,
for
Alice.
us to, we're going to kind of, if it's okay, kind of wipe forward, going back to the Coven. Let's take just a quick bio break, 5, and we'll bring ourselves back with the prisoners brought back kind of in the aftermath so that all of you can talk about what happened. We've got these prisoners here and so on. So just take a quick 5. So we come back, we can do the wipe, we see the swamp, we see you returning, Alice kind of getting the mud off, a couple of you with some wounds. I think Sister Ivory looking perhaps like has taken the worst of it, and we can tell that these 3 Jedi, like there's a reaction here, and maybe not a positive one. And what I want to do is, we've already got Dathomir has met a Sith that she knows. We've got these major out there. I want to establish something else here. I want to establish some other connections. Banshee. We've got these 3 older women. Like, when you get up close, you can see that she is very old. There, kind of darker skin. Maybe in her prime, she was an okay Jedi. She doesn't have a real lightsaber. It looks like she has like a kid's lightsaber at her side. The other 2, the Twi'lek and the human, are also kind of looking at you. You've been out in the world and you've done some things. Which one of these have you crossed paths with?
The Twi'lek.
Okay. And why is she afraid of you?
She sees the full she has seen me use dark-sided powers at a very intense level.
So yeah, when she was younger, she saw you as you were out there doing things, and the fact of you tearing open the back door of this and seeing you, a figure that she sees in nightmares, standing there, like she is trying to keep like the captain and Lestat, the other 2, between you and her. Sister Ivory, you've been an Inquisitor.
Yep.
Of the other 2, the older woman and the other human, which of these have you crossed paths with?
I think my master was hunting the older woman, which is why she doesn't have a lightsaber. That was not my fault. I was just there, and
Yeah, I think that the older woman has been around for a long time. You know that she's a particularly not good Jedi. And like she had made a real makeshift lightsaber, and your master just absolutely destroyed it.
yeah, but she got away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
But she certainly sees you,
and it was my fault
recognizes.
that she got away.
Yeah.
I was younger, and I
She,
messed up.
yeah, but you were still an Inquisitor, so her eyes are still She doesn't know what to make of you yet. And Alice, how do you know this other force user? I think one that maybe seems a little more confused. You can see that she's actually in like part of an imperial uniform, but like you can tell that something has happened to her, that she's kind of like shifted over to the light side a little more. How do you know her?
She was my first crush whenever we were in the equivalent of high school.
Okay. Yeah, so she is looking and seeing you and bedraggled and seeing all of this, and she doesn't know what to make of this, but she's trying to be too cool for school, and she's trying to like not make a scene of this. Darth Tormenta, do you take any do you take the lightsabers back? Do you take the head back? Like, what is your...
No, I definitely do not take the head back.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm just saying your name is Darth, so I have to ask.
it's true. No, it's a fair question. It's a fair question. But yeah, she clips the two lightsabers on another part of her belt, and then puts her own lightsaber in its special little place. Yeah.
So you will return back. I want to give each of you a chance to kind of call a scene before Sister Cascada comes to like debrief you all. And Sister Ivory, I saw in the chat you wanted to speak to Alice.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I was pretty mean to her.
Then let's start with that moment.
So I would ignoring that Jedi for now, because that can wait. I'll go to Alice and I overreacted. I should not have. Is there anything you can I help you clean up or something like that?
I think I'm headed towards the baths, and I think this is just a clean spring area in the village. So just so I understand correctly, you're apologizing because of what you said about Alice not being very useful?
Yep.
Okay. Alice says, well, I understand, and I can see that you also let your anger at Darth Tormenta overcome your piece of leadership, and I think that you'll grow into the leadership role eventually. It's a good lesson.
I wasn't angry at Darth Tormenta. She is what she is. I was a little. I did not wish to exert my authority by challenging her to an actual duel, because that would jeopardize the mission. But yeah, I wish I should not have yelled at you for the fact that I lost control of my frustration with the situation and my own actions there. And I would like to offer you some emotional support here.
Okay.
So do you want to roll with heart or spirit?
I will roll with spirit.
Okay.
My heart is
so what is your spirit?
My spirit is 1. And
so
I think
you'll roll with a -1 then.
Yeah, I will, but I have a string on Alice, and I will use that, so I will roll with +2.
Absolutely.
Which I think is the bad idea. Well, it's a 9.
A 9.
Not that bad at being nice.
Do you think, given what Sister Ivory has said, Alice, that you respond, that you open up to her?
Yeah, I think my response is, your anger towards me isn't something that you really need to apologize for. it's water under the bridge. It's fine. As long as we move forward and we learn our lessons from the frustration and anger that we felt and move that on into lessons that we can learn going forward to make us better at what we do.
So,
Okay.
Alice, do you want to clear a condition, marks XP, or take +1 forward?
I'll clear a condition.
What are you clearing?
I think I'm going to clear frightened.
Okay. Let's go to Banshee and then Darth Tormenta and then Alice. So Banshee, and there are a lot of Nightsisters that are kind of around, like they're looking at these Jedi. They haven't seen anyone quite like them before. We're in the kind of the swamp there. There's the temple. Certainly, we will see that Brahma has come over to make sure that you're okay. Is her hands on you, kind of checking to see if you were wounded, that kind of thing. What scene do you want to call? Who do you want to talk to?
I would like to call on a toxic power.
Okay. Are you communing with one of the ghosts of the Force Witches?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So where do you go to that? Do you go into the temple? Do you step away? Or do we just see you off to the side communing? What do you think?
I'm going to go to the temple, but I'm not really explaining my whereabouts. I think that we just have this large gathering of witches, and I looking at them, back to the Jedi, back to Ivory, back to Tormenta. I think that I just kind of get up with this expression of disgust and turn and silently stalk into the background where this looming ruin lies.
Sure. Let's have you roll with spirit.
Okay. Let's see, here it is. Okay. Ooh, that is a 5.
And Sister Tarek appears before you and says, "You are wise to call on me. What is it you desire?"
I seek guidance around what to do with the Jedi and with my companion sisters. There are sure to be reinforcements descending upon our coven, and soon, especially so long as we hold on to these Jedi. But I don't know what to do.
You know what to do. They are a lodestone around your neck and the neck of every Nightsister here. You must cut them down. And you knew that before you even asked me. You've done it before. Can I have you roll inner conflict now?
Yeah, that would be the time. So for inner conflict, then that is
Anything but the that you roll for your force powers.
any non-spirit stat. I'm gonna go with heart for this. This
Okay.
feels like what is being pushed on. So this is a flat roll. 9.
That is a 9. Flee the scene, overreact, or mark a condition to keep yourself steady.
I will mark frightened.
And here's my hard move. I think as you turn around, you will see that Bana has followed you and has seen you communing with the ghost and can feel the force of this. And where before she was kind of following you with a look of admiration, with a look of, oh, my senpai, her eyes are wide with fear of you. She sees what you are, and she turns and she runs. Darth Tormenta.
Yes. I considered speaking with Banshee about what happened, but she's run off to the caves again. Alice is an embarrassment. I think I'll go and speak with the captain. She's named.
Yeah, she will look up at you. You can see the weight of ages on her. Like she's one of those Jedi that you can tell that the Force is like part of what's keeping her alive. And she looks up and she says, "A Darth."
Jedi. Why are you here? What are you escaping?
I was trying to rescue two young, I don't want to say Padawans. They're too old for that, but, and certainly not younglings. Two who have come into the Force and do not understand what that means, that were captured by the First Order. But I'm old and feeble, and I don't think I can protect them.
Obviously, you can't.
Can you?
Gestures down to the two lightsabers that aren't hers. Ask the wrong question. Why would I do that? They're not Zabrak, they're not Nightsisters. The tainted version. Force that binds us. Why would I bother?
Because until you do something like that, you will never be what you want to be.
I will never be that. I murdered someone. I've murdered many people, but even on my pathway back, the old ways are hard to walk away from.
You didn't say impossible. You said hard.
Yes. That's what I said.
Then it's your choice.
Not entirely. You see, I'm just a cog in the wheels here. I'm sure someone will take pity on you. Take your not quite younglings. Show them the true power of the Force. And I guess you can let yourself die.
Maybe that's what I'll do.
Is that
Maybe
what you want? Is that why you're here? Hand off one last burden and then leave?
I took this road when an innocent like them was forced into my path. And I had to change and turn who I was, because it was not a Jedi. And I have seen your face before, and I know the crossroads you stand at. The Force put me here for a reason. And she'll say, I am tired. You should leave me be.
Very well. Stalk away.
Do you want to roll inner conflict?
If you want me to?
No, I'm asking you, do you want to do that? Or do you feel like you kind of know where your character is at right now with this?
Feel like I know where she's at.
Okay, then you don't need to roll.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to
Okay.
check in with you about, I wanted to see how much you were uncertain or how much you kind of felt like you knew how you felt as a result of that. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Alice, what about you? Who do you want to talk to?
I think I'd like to continue with Sister Ivory.
Okay.
I think that we have finished cleaning up. We've bathed, and I think it's kind of a relaxing thing. And I lean over, and I'm going to say,
I cannot disrobe in front of strangers. This is one of the commandments that guides me. That is like, if you're looking at me and I'm standing there, but I have to cover up my body. This is not, I cannot go into the bath.
I don't think there's a need to disrobe. I
No.
think this is us cleaning up after the
Okay.
trip.
Oh, okay.
We're probably, walking behind a screen to
Mhm.
change into clean clothing.
Okay.
But also like just taking like a cloth to wipe off and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And I think once we're done, I'm going to sit down and say, will you meditate with me?
Yeah. Yes, I will meditate with you if you show me how you do it.
Yeah.
Because
And I think
go ahead.
Because you what? I'm sorry.
Because I only have learned to meditate while fighting.
I think we're going to walk out into the garden and we're going to take seats, facing each other, and I'm going to reach over and place my hand on yours, and then we'll start the meditation. And I'm going to use my nature's touch move.
Ooh, nice.
Which is let the power of the natural world flow into them. So let me roll my spirit. So my spirit is 2. Do I subtract 1 for the condition?
Do you have a condition that would affect it?
I have insecure.
So yeah, that'll subtract a -2 from that.
It would subtract -2 or -1.
And normally with the condition, it subtracts -2.
Oh, okay.
It subtracts -2 from entice, and that's not what she's doing.
Well, okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that this condition affected that one.
The nature's touch doesn't say anything about whether or not a condition
Then
affects it?
conditions don't affect it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Each condition has a specific move that it impacts, so you don't have to worry about it for that.
Okay. So let me roll that and see what it looks like. So that's an 11.
Okay.
And on an 11, I choose 2. One of them is they may give you a string on them and clear a condition.
I will give you a string.
Yeah. And the other is they must answer one of the figure someone out questions of your choice or take a condition.
So let's start with this question. Sister Ivory, which condition are you clearing?
I'm clearing the insecure condition.
Okay.
I'm still feeling a little guilty because things, but I think I think I will do something after that that will make it clear why I'm clearing that. But let Alice finish her move first.
And then the question?
The question is from Figure Someone Out. Let's see. How could I get you to have more faith in the sisterhood?
Well,
Oh, and your place in the sisterhood. Yeah.
I think the answer to that is doing exactly what you're doing here, spending time with me, showing me your rituals and things. And I also think I become smitten with you. Yeah,
Nice.
because you're reaching out, and that nobody ever has done that. And wow, I'm so over the moon now. You are it, and you will realize that because we are close and emotionally open to each other. I think that's not.
So Alice, you mark another string with Sister Ivory.
Okay.
And then Sister Ivory, what question do you want to answer of those Truths of Heart and Blade?
I think, let me check this. I should have done that before.
It's the top two questions.
Oh, it's the top two questions.
Yes.
What prejudice do you hold, and what tradition do you most value? And I'm going to answer this. Or is it the other ones? Or do I ask?
Yeah, let me take a look at that move again. Yes, you answer that question.
I answer that question. Or do I answer the questions on? I think I answer the questions that are on Alice's thing, right? What makes you feel loved, and what do you hope for the future that makes more sense?
Let me check. Hang on one second. You answer the question in the Truths and Blade, Hearts and Blade section of your playbook. So you pick either the prejudice or the tradition one. Okay. Which one do you want to answer?
What prejudice do I hold? I hold the prejudice that I think the prejudice that emotional openness is a weakness. That is a prejudice that I hold.
So I want a hard frame here.
Sorry, I lost my ear.
Oh. So I want a hard frame here, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I want to give us like one more scene together, and then I think we probably need to move to epilogue. And I think it's that Sister Cascada calls the four of you in, and apart from the others, and will say, what do we do about these Jedi? Do we welcome them in? Do we send them off? Do we cut them down? What do you think?
Where I come from, we would have cut them down.
But we are no longer where you come from.
Tormenta?
Tormenta, have you shared what you talked about with the captain?
Hell no.
Nope. Okay.
Their only knowledge of the Force is its weakness. They're young. They can be taught our ways. Turning them away would be a loss of potential asset. Killing them would be an act of cowardice. They're like little kittens, like little loft kittens. Doesn't that warm the cockles of your heart?
So I'm hearing one vote for you keeping the kittens, Darth Tormenta.
Yeah, what you want?
Sister Banshee.
I have spoken with Sister Tarek on this very matter. While my own judgment says to keep them alive for an enemy of the First Order, which poses the greater threat, is, at least for the time being, an ally of ours. But to keep these knights of the light side alive here, I must warn you, it would anger the very planet itself. And we can only keep them here so long before our own sisters turn against us.
Dark vision of things there, Sister Banshee.
I think best case scenario, if we don't kill them, we must at least get them away from here as soon as possible, such that they do not taint this holy land anymore.
You speak of the Holy Land. Sister Alice, that has been your demens in these things. How do you feel of this?
When you plant a seed, that seed can be molded. I think one of those that we brought back has already grown and cannot be tamed. But the other two, I think, can be adapted to our ways if they so choose. We've become accepting of those from outside, so we should judge them based off of that. But the other ones should leave.
Sister Ivory?
As Sister Alice says, we are not where I came from, and I should feel the call to finish what my master started, but I have to admit that I do not. I will yield to your greater expertise in what these lands need.
She'll look at Banshee and she said, "We will keep the two young ones." The older one, I think not. And I think I actually want to move to epilogue there with that kind of decision of that. Darth Harmena, a lot of this is a crux on your feeling on this. Do you want to go first or last for the epilogue?
I think I can go first because
Okay.
Yeah, I think Tormenta. It's not the best decision. After Sister, sorry, I have to remember. Sister Cascada proclaims that the captain will be turned out. Tormenta comes to wherever she's being kept late at night and escapes with her. Takes her off planet, assures her that her two charges will be taken care of, but she's not dead yet.
Very nice. Sister Banshee, then, what is your epilogue in the face of this?
I think upon realizing that this has happened, I just say, "Oh, not again." And I jump in my starship and chase after Darth Tormenta again.
Perfect. Sister Ivory, what about you? What is your epilogue as we see the ship shooting off into space?
Oh, I think we see me sitting in that garden, staring at those seeds and talking to the older Jedi trainee, I guess, about
Of the two, yeah, there's
the
one that's slightly older than the other. Yeah.
the one that's slightly older, about their ways, because I mean, I don't know them, right? So I might listen to what the light side is actually about. I've not experienced it, so.
Nice. And Alice, what is your epilogue here?
I think we see Alice, go by the garden where Sister Ivory is meditating and talking with one of the younger ones and one of the new recruits. And she continues on the trail and passes by the spiders we saw at the beginning and passes them some more fruit and then passes into the temple itself and kneels where she had originally seen Banshee and Dara, and reaches down and sweeps some of the sand, the dirt, away from the symbol, and then starts to meditate there. And we see Sister Tarek and other Nightsister ghosts come forward, and she starts to plead the case of the planet accepting those from outside of Dathomir.
Nice. And that is our session, everyone. Thank you very much. I would like to do a quick round of stars, things that you particularly dug from other people's play, character moments, things like that. Anything that you want to throw in there? Rich, can I start with you? Can we go in that same order?
Sure. I really enjoyed the slight adjustments you made to the rule set to give the wire fu wuxia style. I really like the choices you made in amping up the power levels, and it was an awesome Hearts of Wuleni vibe on it, which I really dug. That was pretty brilliant. I really enjoyed, David, the choices you made for Banshee. Boy, she's dark. She's more messed up than Darth Tormenta, which it's great. Like, good job. Steven, I love that you wanted to like give strength to animals. It's so weird. It's great. Your Night Sister was really bizarre. And Sabine, I've really enjoyed our conflict, our tete-a-tete. That was some fun stuff. It was very fun. I had a good time.
Awesome. David?
I had a great time. I would love to play more of this. The setup of having Nightsisters is just by itself super cool. I don't know much about Star Wars lore, but this is a neat bit of lore stuck in there. I would love to do more in this setting. Oh my gosh, Rich, you stole the show. It was great. Holy cow. And I mean that in a good way. The back and forth between you and Magent was so good. I did not want to get involved with that. It was too cool. I would have just spoiled it. I had to step back and let it play out. The voices, the comebacks, the pithy one-liners, it was all just so well played. So that was great to watch. Sabine, thank you for letting me kind of use Sister Ivory as a way of trying to make Darth Tormenta jealous. And I liked the team up that we did there on the prison transport. Thought that was a great bit of teamwork and felt very cinematic. Steve and I didn't get a chance to interact too terribly much with your character, but I loved the scene where you interacted with the, I forget what it was called, but the tentacled creature. And then boom, more tentacles come out of that was so good. I really thought that was a great call. Steve, and I thought that your character was a nice breath of not evil, which I think is actually a necessary and healthy thing for this kind of game. But yeah, no, I mean, I overall had a really, really good time. It's a neat system too. I've never played this before, so
yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. You can really see the DNA of it, the masks and the monster hearts and some of the other stuff definitely in it.
I also think, Lowell, it was a very good idea to add the moves for calling on your powers and inner conflict. I think those are good.
I always want a move where you could just go, I got force powers and it's going to be cool. That for me is the most important thing. Sabine?
Yeah, stars all around. This was a fun session. This was a fun setting. Playing these messed up Nightsisters, that was a lot of joy. I absolutely adored the Ventress voice that Rich did for Darth Tormina. It was, and I also liked the conflict that we had. And the whole thing with Banshee always talking to the dark, but always wanting to talk to the toxic power. That was like, okay, yeah, fine. That was kind of cool. And as you said, David, the Alice was a nice counterpoint to all these evil, or at least evil adjacent characters. Yeah, that was very cool. I liked the meditation scene that we had. So yeah, and Lowell, again, stars to the whole running of the game, stars to the fact that there were Jedi in the back of the truck. That was a nice twist. So yeah.
And I also want to give a star for you because I know it is super late for you, and I appreciate you staying up as late as you have here.
Yeah, I'm a night owl.
Stephen.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I found the whole game very evocative. I'm gonna repeat what David said. You know, whenever I looked up and saw what time it was, I was like, oh, but I wanted more. And I'd love to play this again, a few more times. And it's really good. And as others have said, Rich, your Tormenta was very, very good. I liked your voices and the way that you played her. I also liked the interaction with Banshee, and Banshee's kind of sneaking around in interaction with the ghosts. That was really awesome. And then Sister Ivory, your antagonism with Tormenta and how that worked out on screen, and all of the scenes, where there was, fighting going on, felt very, very good. The cinematic thing that stands out in my mind is whenever Sister Ivory went to make a jump, and you had Magent reach out and just slam her to the ground, and I'm like, oh, I could see that in my mind. It was so good. I originally came into this game thinking I would play a very dark, Nightsister and all of that, and then I looked through the playbooks, and the playbook for the Nature Witch was like, that's super interesting. I want to try that, and I think it was great. So, and I think it also added flavor. So thanks for including that playbook for that added flavor, so that we could get a taste of it. It wasn't, a one-trick pony.
I think it was a good choice because Dathomir is has a weird ecosystem, and we got lots of creatures from it. So I thought that was really good. I enjoyed everybody's characters. Like it was solid. I enjoyed the choices. Love to see people do force powers. Rich, I thought your epilogue was dynamite. Everybody's choices throughout were an absolute pleasure. So I had a great time running this. I am going to stop the recording now.